What's up, everybody? We are live. Thank you so much for joining us for another Indie Games podcast. Not just any Indie Games podcast. This is the last one of the year, so I'm very excited for this show to wrap up an awesome year of indie games. I thought I'd get the legendary company for this show. It's got to be a good one. It's got to be a good guest for this show, hasn't it? So we have got an awesome returning guest who you can probably see on the screen right now, but we'll get some introductions from that legend in just a moment. Thank you so much everyone who's joining us in the chat. Like I say, we've got much to talk about today, much awesome games to discuss. But firstly, I just want to say hi to my good partner in crime and co-host Luke Steele, back in the house today. How are you doing, brother?
Very well, thank you. Yeah, it's been a week, a very long week, but it's nice to be here, doing what all the cool kids do on a Friday night, which is doing an indie game podcast.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
that's right.
So no, I'm very much looking forward to this one. It's been, it's a bookend to a really good year for indie games.
Definitely.
We're going to talk about some of that. I'm looking forward to it, and it's great to have Scott here, obviously, as well.
Fantastic. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you very much, my friend. Yeah, that's definitely awesome to be doing this, wrapping up an awesome year, because it has been so good. And it's been a pleasure to be doing this with you, Luke, my friend. So thank you for the continued co-host duties. It's been a pleasure. But yeah, moving on to our very special guest. Let's not leave him out in the cold for too long, because we don't want to do that to our awesome esteemed guest and good friend of the show. It is a returning guest, as you can see. Scott always brings the fire. Absolute pleasure to have you back on, brother. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm very well, thank you very much, Indy. Really looking forward to tonight's show, actually. What a way to end the year. We had our last GPG podcast last Sunday, and we've got the last Indie Games podcast of the year tonight. So really looking forward to it, mate. It's been a great year, hasn't it?
It really has. Yeah, definitely. It's been a fantastic one. And like I say, I wanted to have a great crew for this one. So you were the no-brainer choice, my friend. So thank you very much for accepting the the
always is kind on you.
That's true, my friend. Honestly, you want to have people you can who've got the great takes and everything, but also people who are just great people like yourself. So you bring the full package, my friend. Excuse the cheese, but you do. So yeah, thanks again for coming back on, buddy. It's going to be a fun one. As I say, guys, we are going to be diving into two beefy topics today, really doing what we do best on this show, I believe, which is just highlighting games. We try just to avoid the news and the antics that go on sometimes in this community, which not really.
I thought we were going to talk about the ABK acquisition tonight. Indeed.
Yeah.
Is that? I thought that's what I was joining.
No, I wasn't alluding to that at all. I apologise. Luke's going to slap me now for that. So that's his domain. So I didn't mean that. I like it when Luke talks about it, but not when other people who have no idea talk about it. Just to clarify. But yeah, no, we're definitely focusing on the games tonight. There is many to get through, and I really want to highlight some awesome ones, and just some big indie reveals recently at the Game Awards. So we'll be looking forward to chatting about them. But thank you so much everyone who is joining us in the chat for this final Indie Games podcast of the year. It's amazing to see so many great names coming back in. Oh, we got Dapper Dog Digital in the house as well. Great to see you guys. I hope development is going super well on Biogun. We are all looking forward to getting our hands on that bad boy when it comes out. But I hope it's all going very well. Thank you for dropping by. We've got Meisuko. The mod squad is in with Meisuko at the leading position. Thank you very much for being in, Meisuko. It's always a pleasure. Flame in the house. Great to see you back in as well, buddy. We've got Pixel Slapper in as well. Great to see you as well, my friend. Thank you very much for coming by. And we have Krauserick in the house too, Stubbs Gaming, and we got Sentinel too. I think maybe the first time in, so thank you very much for being here. The Jinner is in as well, so thank you all for coming by, guys. It's great to see you. So many great faces in there coming by to celebrate some awesome games. Definitely looking forward to this one. And yeah, we want to know your thoughts as well, guys, by the way. So definitely let us know as we go through this. We'll read out your comments. And yeah, we want to know what games you've enjoyed from the Game Awards. And we want to know what games you've enjoyed throughout this whole year on the indie scene. Would be lovely to hear from you in the chat. So definitely feel free to drop some comments on that. But yes, firstly, let's just get warmed up, shall we, guys? And actually, I've just seen something before we do jump into that. Stubbs Gaming, the little legend that he is. Thank you so much for that, my friend. That is very, very kind. You are a little legend, my friend. He's put a little
get half of that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, actually, YouTube take half it, so you get half of the half, if that's all right.
Half of the half.
That's good.
Do I get a cut?
Yeah, you can have some as well. We can all have a sip of the drink of the Coke Zero that we'll get with that. No, but genuinely, Stubbs Gaming, thank you so much for that, my friend. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Twice, I don't know why I said that. It says Christmas, that's probably why. And Happy New Year to Indie Baby, Luke and Scott. Thank you so much, Stubbs, my friend. You're a awesome guy. Really appreciate that. And all of your support this year as well, buddy. So thank you again. Right, so yeah, I'll be sorting out the cuts later, guys. You know, you probably won't need to work for a few months, Luke. You know you're it must probably dwarfs your salary you get, I imagine.
At least 4 times as much.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant stuff. Yeah, so thank you again, everyone who is here, as well as Stubbs with that kind super chat, buddy. So let's jump in to get a little warm up for the show. A good way to do it is always to have a little chat about what we've been playing and how we've been, basically, as it's always a month since the last show, so it's nice to do that, I think. But yeah, let's go to our esteemed guest firstly, I think, on this one. Scotty Baby, how have you been, my friend? And what have you been playing, my friend?
Yeah, it's been good on the indie side of things at the moment, to be honest, Indy. Thanks to your lovely review of the Night Witch, I've been checking out that this past week. I'm probably about 4 hours in,
Nice.
So maybe coming up to halfway. And I'm one of those people. I'm a Vampire Survivors addict as well, Indy. So can't get enough of that game. So honestly, those 2 games have been taking a lot of my time this past week.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, Vampire Survivors DLC just dropped yesterday, so I was checking that out.
Nice. What's the DLC all about then? Is it because I haven't actually checked what that is all about? Is it new levels?
They've added, new levels, new weapons, new characters, new secrets, and things like that. So just more of the same. I've not actually had too much of a chance to check out a lot of the new stuff. Checked out one of the new levels, saw one of the new weapons.
Awesome.
But yeah, it's more of the same stuff, which is great because it's a fantastic addictive game, very, very addictive game. So
definitely is, my friend. Yeah, awesome. It's taken over the whole world right now, hasn't it? That game, it's just like, it's so accessible, isn't it, to get into, and then once you're locked in, it's hard to put it down, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah, awesome, buddy. Well, that's fantastic stuff. And thank you very much for the kind words about the review. I'm glad that, opened up, someone to check it out, because that's always the idea of the reviews, to sort of spread the love for the game. And if someone likes it, check it out. So I'm glad you thought you liked what you saw. And so you're enjoying the gameplay and everything of that game in general. How are you feeling about the actual play of it?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, just to say, an excellent review, Indy, a great video. It actually wasn't a game that was on my radar until I checked out the review. So I looked at it. It kind of gave me kind of Ori vibes a little bit, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So I thought, yeah, definitely going to check this game out. So I purchased it and really, really enjoyed it. Awesome. The music, the art style, the stories, so. But
yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah,
generally the gameplay is really fun. I love the use of cards. I love card games, Indy.
Yeah,
so the use of like the deck building aspect is really ticking some boxes.
Oh, cool. I was wondering that, because I wonder if you might have found it too light on that element, because they've used it in a cool way. I mean, it's a nice element I really liked myself. It's probably my favorite part of it. And so, yeah, but I wondered, as a hardcore, deck building guy, whether that would still be ticking the box. So I'm glad to hear that is doing that for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, some cool abilities in that game. We're talking about the Night Witch, by the way, guys. The review is in the channel if you fancy checking it out, if you haven't already. But thank you so much to everyone who has. But yeah, appreciate that, buddy. It's a cool one. It's not massively deep in the Metroidvania exploration side of it, but I think it comes together quite well to blend a lot of different things together. That's what I enjoyed. And yeah, the art style is really nice in my opinion. But I'm glad you're enjoying. And yeah, do you enjoy the gameplay, the intensity? Do you find it quite intense, that gameplay, or you probably breeze it?
No, I don't breeze it. I've had my ass handed to me a few times on it already, indeed, to be honest. Sometimes it really ramps up. There's a lot going on at times, particularly during the ambushes and the boss battles. So you've really got to be on your toes, just keep an eye on everything that's going on, Definitely. And actually, one of the criticisms that I think you had during your review was about not being able to necessarily quickly glance at what cards are assigned to which button, because when you're in the heat of battle, taking your eye off the middle of the screen for even just a split second can cost you. So I've died loads already, but it's one of those games where you just want to. It's kind of like, right, one more try, definitely until you do, and then you get like kind of that good a sense of satisfaction. The one critique I think I've got of it mainly at the moment is the checkpoint system. There's been a couple of times when I've died and I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake.
That does happen.
I'm going to go quite far. This is going to sound like a weird comparison, but had exactly the same complaints about Dark Souls 3.
Right,
which is like going from a bonfire to a boss.
I think it's a typical thing with those types of games, because you get that in Hollow Knight as well. Like there's a bit in the Soul Master boss, and you have to go through a treacherous ordeal to get to the boss, if you know what I mean, and you can lose a lot of health on the way there. Luckily, exactly. If they put health near the boss, hopefully, and it's not too bad. But I know what you mean though with that. Some people find that a bit annoying, and at times I did as well. But
but otherwise, I mean, those are minor nitpicks for what is a great game, indeed.
Yeah, awesome, buddy. I'm glad you're enjoying. Yeah, I do enjoy that gameplay. It's quite addictive, and intensity of it is fun, and I don't know, just. I like that challenge, if you know what I mean. But yeah, check it out, guys. But anyway, that's awesome, bud. And Lukey, baby, how have you been, brother? And what games have you been checking out lately?
Yeah, very well.
Good.
I have been playing that little known indie game called The Witcher 3.
Oh,
patch,
that patch,
yeah. So
it's getting around at the moment.
you're getting around. Yeah, so I actually haven't had much indie play at the moment. Just still playing Vampire Survivors.
Nice, yeah.
Exclusively on the Steam Deck, because it's just the perfect type of game for that.
Nice.
Although it does, I don't know if you've played it, but it does start chugging when you get later into a round.
Oh, in Vampire
on the Steam Deck. Yeah. The frame does.
I've not played it on the Steam Deck yet. I've got it installed on there actually, but I've not played it on the Steam Deck yet. Funnily enough, I don't know why. But like I imagine when it's like so much going on screen, like you say, it's CPU heavy, isn't it? More.
Yeah. At that point. It still runs great, but it does. Basically, the further you get into it, the more the frames dip. Basically.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Because you think such a basic.
Yeah, it looks like such a like a not a very demanding game, but actually, I think because it's it is the way it is. It's super CPU heavy in the later parts. So, I'll be interested actually because they announced the mobile port, so I want to see how that runs. Because if the Steam Deck's not doing amazingly with it,
good point.
Game, I don't know what mobile will do, but
it's interesting that look because it's like in portrait mode.
Yes,
which I'm curious as to. I wonder if they've done that because you're not going to have much around the edges.
Yeah, maybe.
Because obviously a lot of what goes on in the game, you've got all the enemies around the outside. So I guess that limits what will be on there. But yeah, that'll be interesting. The only reason I haven't checked it out on my phone is because it doesn't have cross progression. If that game had cross progression, I'd be playing it everywhere. So
yeah. So it'd be. I think that's a fair point. I do wonder if they'll bring it to Switch. I assume they'll try, but that's going to really struggle with it. So unless you start doing a weird portrait mode on that.
Yeah,
I don't know if it'll quite work.
They have to do like a letterbox or something, tiny little in the middle screen.
Like a little 1/5 of the screen in the middle is Vampire Survivors, and the rest is just like a background.
Yeah, like a still image, basically.
Yeah, still image. Yeah, you can. That could be a new unlock just for the Switch version. You can get like different still images.
Yeah,
the screen of play. But yeah,
I would have thought Vampire Survivors would be the game that prompted the Switch Pro or the Switch 2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Nintendo
Of all
look
the
at that and they're
games.
like, we need to accelerate this now because we can't get Vampire Survivors running that
Exactly.
well.
That's
So
great.
yeah, just Vampire Survivors from an indie perspective.
Yeah, even since so
and-
if we're talking from the last podcast, you played anything beyond, like between the last podcast and now? Have you,
indie wise,
testing the memory now.
Yeah, you are. Yeah.
No worries,
That's
we're
a
not.
long time in the world.
It
If
is,
he hasn't got any other indie, I'm expecting a bigger cut.
yeah,
that-
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Stubbs is five. Yeah,
No, I think that's pretty much just it. I think just
Yeah,
Vampire
cool, man.
Survivors.
nice.
Yeah, apart from that, I've been playing a bit more. I've actually gone back to Returnal.
Oh, nice.
To the Tower of Sisyphus DLC,
Oh,
which
nice.
is sort of the rogue, like the proper roguelike element of that game. Because the
Okay.
game is in nature a roguelike,
Yeah,
but the Tower DLC is kind of like that, but super distilled into like very typical roguelike stuff. So same, some
Nice.
procedural generation going on, but yeah, and that's just great. I mean, it's just a lot. That's a bit like, in an odd way, it's a bit like Vampire Survivors, that game, in that
yeah.
it's really good just to pick up, and your muscle
That's
memory
good.
comes back very quickly. Not that you need any muscle memory in Vampire Survivors, but
Yeah.
because it's a stick. But
yeah. yeah.
Returnal
The
has that
one-handed
kind
game.
of,
can't you? Supposed to-
yeah. The Returnal has that kind of pickup and playability about it. But
Yeah.
it's just really satisfying. So great that that's coming to PC, obviously.
Yeah, so
finally.
excited about that reveal. That was so awesome
Yeah.
to see. Yeah.
You need to make sure you've got your 32 gigs of RAM though.
Really?
Oh man, holy shit!
Yeah.
Is it? Is it
Yeah.
hungry? Oh no.
Yeah, it's a hungry boy. Yeah.
I've only got 16.
Oh, well, can't play it then. I'm sure you get away. I think actually
The minimum is 16.
it's minimum
I think.
16, yeah, and
Yeah.
recommended is 32.
Cool.
Still, that's heavy.
It's really heavy,
maybe
yeah.
16 would be like the recommended, and the minimum might be 8, I guess. But,
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw them and I thought it must have been a mistake, because I'm really looking forward to that as well, Luke.
Yeah.
And yeah, thankfully my laptop should just about run it.
Nice. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm really
it's-
excited to dive into that. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, no, I think it's about time, isn't it? Obviously, it's it was leaked a long time ago.
Exactly,
from,
yeah.
From Nvidia's Jensen prophecy leak,
Right.
which has come true.
Yeah.
As Digital Foundry would say. So yeah, it's great that it's finally confirmed, finally getting it. And I do want to see. I probably will double dip, and I really want to see what happens if the Steam Deck tries to run that.
Oh, yeah.
Because-
I'm hoping it would be good on there, because that would be a nice one to play on the go, wouldn't it? If it works
yeah,
well.
well, I think it meets the recommended RAM.
Yeah.
Sorry, the minimum RAM. So,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I don't even know what battery life you get out of it. Even
Not
if you
much,
could run
yeah.
it.
Probably.
Like 4 minutes.
Yeah.
You could do the quickest run ever.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, so been playing that. As I say, been playing the Witcher 3 patch on PC when it runs, which is amazing when it works properly. There's a few issues with it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of been it, really. So I've got a huge backlog for Christmas of various things I want to go back to.
Nice.
So I will be going through those, and I'm sure there will be some indies in there as well.
Hope so.
There better be.
Yeah, exactly.
Better be.
No, that's awesome, buddy. Yeah, it's, so much awesome games out there, isn't there? Too, in the backlog, and yeah, like looking back, I'm trying to catch up before the end of the year, if you know what I mean. Especially when it's like I want to make a sort of like top list or whatever. You want to have played them all. You know what I mean? That's why I was like,
Yeah.
last night, spoiler alert, I was jumping into a bit of the old Immortality, because I'm a little bit late to the game compared to these two fellas. Yeah, we'll get to that in a bit, I think, because that would be a nice one to talk about. But spoiler alert once again, loved it. So, la la la. But yeah, that's awesome, buddy. Yeah, it's awesome times, great time of year for getting into some games, except for when you've got my jobs, that is. But most people get to try dive into some games at this time of year, so good on for all of you guys. I'll get in a bit of a chance, but yeah, it's going to be good, and yeah, just awesome. I like it when it's the end of the year. You can sort of like look back and enjoy what's sort of come in, and also look forward. I like the start of the next year in that regard, because you can look forward to what's going to be coming out in 2023, which we'll dive into at some point as well. Potentially make a video on actually maybe a top 15 upcoming indie games or something for 2023. I think I'd quite like to do a video like that. But yeah, for today though, of course, we're going to be diving into our best indies of 2022. But today's first topic I think we'll start off with is going to be the Game Awards one. But just before I do that, actually, I just realised I haven't actually mentioned what I've been playing. I always do that, you know. I'll just quickly mention what I have been playing, which is one of them, Immortality, as I say, which I will go into more a bit later on, because that will be... spoiler alert, once again, it's going to fall into my best indies of 2022 already, with 4 hours under the belt. But yeah, otherwise, like Scott said, he's covered The Night Witch, obviously the review I done. I'll pop a link to that on this video if you wanted to check out the Night Witch review that I've done on the channel. I won't go into that again because Scott's very comprehensively covered that. Thank you very much, buddy. But also, something else that happened, which is quite interesting, or maybe not interesting, depending on how you feel about that. But I got the wrong Steam Deck, guys. I realised all this time down the line, I actually had a SD card in there which had a load of storage, and then I had a moment where I was going to install some beefier games, bigger games like Doom Eternal, and I realised I've only got a 64 gigabyte one because they'd sent me the wrong. They'd sent me the wrong one.
So you didn't just order the wrong one; they just sent you the wrong one.
They sent me the wrong one. I paid for the 256, so that was a bit of a surprise because I thought it was still running pretty well, but now they've sent me the 256 one, which I ordered straight, and they just did it with no questions asked, straight out. They didn't even have to get the other one back in first or anything like that, which I still need to return, by the way. I need to get on with that. I'm good to it at the moment.
I can give you an address, indeed.
It's not Powell. I can give you a particular address.
Yeah, funnily enough, it's in the where are you going, Cumbria or some area? I don't know.
Northeast, mate. Northeast. Opposite side of the country.
But that's the one. Yeah, so that was really, really strange and very surprising when I looked, because I was like, oh my god, I've just realized I've actually not got much storage on here, because I put a 256 SD card in there, and that made me sort of not realize, if you see what I mean. But now I've got the 256 one because I wanted to install Doom Eternal. That's what I'm getting onto. There's I played that game on the Steam Deck, and Luke is not wrong about that being an absolute phenomenon on the Steam Deck. It's absolutely incredible. I've finished the game already on console, as I had a good point of comparison, and just playing it on the Steam Deck blew my mind. Locked 60 frames per second, doesn't ever drop, and it's just a thing of beauty, isn't it? Like, it's just crazy.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's really amazing to see it on a handheld. And like Doom's been on the Switch and stuff, but the original was like 30 FPS.
Yeah, exactly.
And like really muddy, and then kind of lots of visuals turned down. This is like, you can get like medium setting Doom Eternal at lock 60 native resolution on the Steam Deck.
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah,
which is kind of like, almost kind of just under console equivalent settings, apart from the ray tracing and all that sort of stuff, and obviously the console is running higher res. But it's amazing. Like, it's genuinely amazing to play that. And the other one is another id Tech game, Wolfenstein 2.
Oh yeah, nice.
That's, again, I mean, it's just id Tech is amazing.
Yeah.
Lock 60 on the Steam Deck, you can get medium settings, medium high actually. And they just look unbelievable to be running on a handheld device. Like, it just blows my mind thinking about it, because they shouldn't look that good and run on a handheld. That's a kind of common parlance, isn't it? But
it honestly, it's amazing. I don't know. I thought it was, because I had this thing about Steam Deck, right, where I was a little tiny bit worried that I was always going to feel that because I'm not that much on the go all the time, really, but you know, and I was worried that I was going to feel like, oh no, why don't I just play it on the PC because it will look better on there? Why don't I just do that when I can have that option? But playing that has reassured me that it's, you know, it's such a great device that is, you know, you're not going to feel like you're compromising when you play on it, really. And the fact you can just play it on the go is amazing. And it just feels punchy. It feels just like it should do, Maternal. And yeah, really having a great time with it again. Like I say, for a second playthrough on Steam this time. First time I played through on Xbox, I think. But yeah, so loving that. But yeah, that was quite strange with the old Steam Deck. I know, Stubbs, I did miss that one big time. But yeah, like I say, I put the SD card straight in. And that was why I kind of didn't notice because of the storage. But yeah, also because now I've got the faster storage, which I definitely noticed the difference with that as well, because it's the NVMe one, of course, compared to the base one, which is the EMMC or whatever it's called. I can't remember what it is. I don't know, that's a much slower.
It's like a flash drive.
That's
almost,
it. Yeah,
like a high-speed flash drive. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So much nicer, and I noticed a lot of difference in that for sure, and you know, installations and stuff as well for sure as well. So yeah, loving that. But yeah, otherwise, obviously we played Somerville. I think that was since we last done a podcast, so that was cool playing that. We've got a review of that as well, guys. Doing some reviews lately. And a bit of Inertial Drift and Immortality, which we'll get into later. But yeah, been some cool games been checking out, but want to check out a lot more. But yeah, let's go ahead and get straight into the topics now, I think, because we've done enough chatty poos, and I think it's time to dive into some of that stuff. But firstly, I just want to shout out some of the legends who have dropped by, because we've got some great new names in the chat, including the legend Xbox Jesus, who knows how to put a few pints away. I've got the experience of that hanging out with him at EGX. He's making me look bad, he was. But yeah, it's great to see you in, buddy. Thank you very much for coming by. And we've got UK Dazarus, who definitely used to put a few pints away. Now he's a reformed man, of course. But yeah, great to see you, Dazzy Babe. Thank you very much for being here. Sentinel, as I say, Meisuko, everyone else who's hanging out. I think I shouted you out before. We've got DeFloyd pop in as well, and Smokeback Official. Thank you so much, everyone who is hanging out for the show. We're going to go ahead and jump into the first topic, which is going to be the Game Awards for today. And lots of indie coverage. Of course, we're going to be focusing on the indie highlights as opposed to the full thing, and doing a bit of a deeper dive on that. Some amazing things shown off. I was in the DM with Luke whilst it was going on late at night, and I don't know, my excitement was pretty high. I don't know about you, Luke. You were quite excited as well for the Game Awards in general as it was happening?
We were both very excited.
We were quite excited, weren't we?
It was late night and we were both very excited.
We were delirious.
We were delirious. Yeah, no. I think we even said like the pre-show, just if they just had the pre-show.
Yeah.
For indie games, it would have been really good.
Yeah.
Like just that alone, and then obviously they, did the show and it went up like. Yeah, a number of levels in terms of indie games, so it was a really good showcase.
Definitely
for that stuff.
It was great, wasn't it? Yeah, I really enjoyed it. So as a whole, you had in the end taking it away. You thought it was a good show as a whole, and lots that you loved. Yeah, nice.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was probably. For me, content-wise, I thought it was the best show they've ever done. That Keighley's ever done, really.
I would definitely agree with that.
I know some people didn't agree with that, and I know that for some people is motivated a little bit by the fact that Xbox weren't there in any capacity, which I get, although play more games.
True, exactly.
Would be my answer, because I think like for everything else that was a really good show, particularly for indies, as I say. Like indies really they always tend to have a good presence there, but I think this year they probably had the best showcase of indie games that's ever been there in terms of the mix of announcements and trailers and that sort of stuff.
Most definitely, yeah. It was a banging show. So yeah, how should we do this? We break this down. And then we can maybe give our final verdict of the show, but you've pretty much done that. But what we'll do is go over a few things that were shown. Like I say, I want to focus in on the indie stuff. Over to that. So yeah, obviously, I think we should start with. Let's just go full whack into the best thing that happened there, for me anyway. Pretty much. There was a lot of good things that happened, which were absolutely banging, though, to be honest with you. But this is the one I think that we were pretty damn hyped for, weren't we, Luke? I mean, I think everyone was the same. So we're talking about Hades 2 right now, which quite a surprise to see this revealed. A massive announcement. As soon as you see that Supergiant logo, you think it's probably a new IP based on their history, not repeating themselves usually, but this was a big game, so makes sense. And but yeah, just damn amazing. So I'm going to go maybe to Scott first, because we've been talking, and we'll come back to you in a sec, Luke, because I know you'll have lots to say on this anyway. But Scott, my friend, what did you think of seeing Hades 2 shown off to the world at the Game Awards?
Yeah, probably the biggest indie announcement of the show, and not just one of the biggest indie announcements, just one of the biggest announcements altogether throughout the show. I was a little bit surprised, just because of Supergiant's past, and I'm ashamed to say it took me far too long to figure out that it was Hades. I should have got it a lot earlier.
Imagine you there just until the Hades 2 bit comes. You're like, God, what is this?
I love it.
Hades 2, that's it.
That's it.
On the screen.
Hades 11.
I love the video that they showed for it as well. Like the art style that they've got for Hades is top notch.
It so is. Yeah,
really looking forward to jump back in. Curious to see sort of what they do different with things like weapons and power-ups and things like that. I can't remember the name of the character that you play, but if I remember correctly, it is Zagreus' sister.
Yeah, that's right.
Melanie.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
A fantastic announcement. One of the highlights of the entire show, not just from an indie perspective. And I'm really, really looking forward to jumping in. I was a little bit late to Hades because I didn't play it till it came to Xbox. So I'm really excited to jump into this next year when it comes to early access.
Yeah, it's quite interesting that they're going to do early access again, but I guess tried and tested method for them. But like, it's quite interesting that they've already got the formula down. But do you think that's quite surprising for you, or do you think it's good that they're going to early access it first?
I guess I would hand that over to one of you guys. Were you involved in the early access period of the original Hades?
Yeah.
Luke, yeah.
Did they? How different was the 1.0 release from the early access version out of interest? Because I'm curious as to what they did throughout that period to really enhance the game, and maybe how they could apply that to Hades 2.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of gameplay, it always remained pretty similar from day one of early access. But the big thing that expanded was content. Right. So in the original early access, from memory, you only could go up to the end of the second biome, basically. So they had a couple of boss battles, and they only had the primary weapon. They didn't have any of the the shield or the bow or anything like that. Yeah. So it was a little slower as well, if I remember, because I remember when I played the 1.0 thinking how much quicker the game was. So the big thing was just the content element in terms of building that out over the period, which obviously by the time 1.0 came out, there's tons of content, because obviously there's the whole run, which is multiple biomes and different enemies and stuff, and then there's all the other gameplay styles. There weren't nearly as many boons or anything like that in the original either, so they built a lot of that out. So that I would expect them to do the same. It is a bit surprising because if you think about it, like they've had a lot of time to develop this, and it's not as if it's a sequel, and it to be fair, it looks like a sequel. It looks iterative. Yeah. So I'm surprised that they're early accessing it again, because like you would think it might be a quicker game to develop, but there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I mean, they treat early access really well. Obviously, if you get it early access, it's cheaper as well. So you're kind of buying, and you're not buying Star Citizen here, right? You're buying a product that's going to come out. So I thought it was interesting, but that's kind of how it developed, the first one in early access.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, my perspective of their early access is basically the No Clip documentary. So that's my insight to that, which is quite insightful, actually.
I recommend people go and watch that.
100%.
If you enjoyed the game, it's really interesting.
100%. It's one of the best things, hands down, actually, documentary-wise, best documentary I've ever seen in general. The No Clip documentary of Hades is incredible, guys. Definitely watch that. They were talking about actually doing something more for Hades 2 as well. I saw a statement released that they are in talks with NoClip again for more documentary. That'll be awesome, won't it?
Nice.
Definitely. Yeah. So, but obviously, so what do you reckon then, guys, to the actual look and feel of this? Obviously, like you say, you're playing as Zagreus' sister. The eyes, obviously, they denote, obviously, Hades is the red, isn't it? And is it Persephone, the green? I think that's the link of that. And the character, the most interesting character to me is the one who is kind of your mentor in this, which I forget the name of now. It's I forget it now. It's no, I should have noted it down. But they seem very cool and interesting. This is as a female character who's kind of like mentoring you and sort of like training you, I guess you could say. But yeah, for me, this has a different feel to it. Obviously has a very familiar feel, but also it has a bit more like of a magic feel, like, you know, witchcraft and stuff like that. Yeah, so which I think is really cool. It does have a little twist to it. They're doing the thing which is the best way to go, obviously, where you've got something which is very much feeling, you know, the same but different about the same. You know that saying. But yeah, no, so they're going with the familiarity of the tried and tested, but also just iterating on that and bringing it to something fresh for us as well. So I think that's the best way to go, of course. And they've gone for a female protagonist, which is a bit Silksong-esque for the sequel. So there we go. It's quite interesting. But yeah,
What comes first, Silksong or Hades 2?
that's a good question. I think actually Hades 2, I don't know. It's crazy that they're coming out in the same year, isn't it? It's like, well, provided they do, of course.
So it's gone. No, it's not going to come out.
You think it's 2024?
Let's be honest with ourselves. Yeah.
Oh God, don't do it. But yeah, so what do you reckon to the look and feel? It's got like a darker feel. I really like this sort of like sort of greeny blue sort of coloring that's going on. I know it's a small thing, but I just the art direction in Hades is so damn good, and I love what they do with the colors to sort of denote the different you know, abilities and stuff in the games. But yeah, what do you reckon to the feel of the whole game? Do you think do you enjoy in the fact that it's going down this different route? Who would like to take that? Maybe Scotty baby?
Yeah, I think that's the thing that I'll be most excited for, is how do they take what was an almost perfect formula in Hades, and how did they evolve that and offer different play styles, different weapons, different enemy types. So yeah, I'm really digging how the game looks. I mean, they give you some brief glimpses at some of the weapons and some of the abilities that you'll have in the game in the clips that we've got some playing now. Obviously just very brief glimpses. I wish we could see just a little bit more. So I'm really curious as to how that plays out. I think obviously that's the key thing, is you don't want necessarily any of the same weapons or things like that as the original game. You wanted to feel fresh while still being within that world. So I think it looks fantastic, and really just can't wait to get my hands on it, to be honest. Now that we know it exists, hopefully it's not too far away before it goes into early access. And just really excited for this. Is one of my most anticipated games for 2023.
Very nice, my friend. Yeah, me too. It just goes straight in there, as you know, has to be, doesn't it? It's just been such an incredible game, and it's one of the best announcements we could have hoped for, and it's a surprise one as well. It really caught us off guard. It makes sense though, because to do it at the Game Awards, they've got a history with working with the Game Awards to review, I think, Hades 1 and all that side of it as well, so it's quite cool. They've got a good little relationship going there. But yeah, it was an amazing announcement. And Luke, my friend, what did you think to the combat side of things, the characters? Do you have any insight with regards to this dark character who's the training, a kind of sort of mentor-like person? I did look up a little bit on it, but my brain hasn't retained it.
I can't remember her name.
Yeah, I know it. It's got TE at the end, I think, if you know what I mean, and it's Tay.
Yes,
Tay, isn't it? I can't think now.
It's something.
It's something. But I really love the character design and the whole sort of the direction with it. I think it's pretty cool. And,
No, I mean, I'm super hyped for it. I love the first game. It was surprising, I guess, as I've said a couple of times, that it's a sequel. Supergiant never do sequels, but as I've said before, they've never had something as successful as Hades. So it kind of made sense that they would go, okay, let's do I don't want to call this a safe project, but it kind of is. There's a lot less risk with this than with any other game they've done before. And it doesn't really matter because the first game was so good that everybody would want, I think, at least a sequel, at least one. I think the question was always how would you do a sequel, because kind of the first game, it's pretty self-contained, and it kind of wraps up in a way that's final. Like you don't necessarily need a sequel out of it, but I think the way they've gone about it is really cool. You play as Melanie, which is Zagreus' sister.
Exactly. Yeah.
So and she's different, and you can see that through the gameplay. She's much more. She's a witch, basically, much more like a sorceress. So, she's got a lot of magic abilities. There's hints of a few weapons on screen. She has a sickle and a blade, so it's all kind of quick weaponry compared to Zagreus. Much more shadowy.
Maybe more like the punchy sort of gauntlets or whatever, like similar.
Yeah.
Was there a little hint of stealth in part of the trailer?
Yeah, the bit.
I don't know. I don't know if we'll see it as it runs through, but there's a little bit where she does appear to be walking much slower towards an enemy, and then she kind of attacks quite quickly. So I wonder if that'll play a part, especially with the types of weapons. I did just find the name of
I found it as well.
I was going to say the name of the main character, which Kronos is going to be the main villain. Who's Hades' dad, and I've lost it now.
Oh, it's Hecate. Have you
got it?
Hecate.
That's it, Hecate. That's the one.
Goddess of the witches. So that's pretty cool. That's who Hecate is. So that's quite an awesome sort of different slant, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, exactly, and I think it just looks really good.
It does.
I don't think there's any question that this will be bad or not good. It will be excellent.
It definitely
part
will.
of that is because it's Supergiant. Part of it is because it's an iterative sequel, so we already know what this is going to be like in terms of general feel and premise, etc. But it will just be more of that, but probably bigger.
Yeah.
And just really cool. So, I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's just gonna be awesome.
I think it'll be massive as well. I think one of the benefits of going for a sequel is Hades was so big, and it eventually came to all platforms that I think this will be humongous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they've actually stated it will be bigger than Hades 1 as well, which is pretty damn awesome. But yes, it's going to be amazing to jump in. I'm definitely jumping on the early access on this one. I don't always do that. How about you guys? Do you think you'll jump in early, or do you think you'll wait for the 1.0?
I'll jump in early.
Yeah, I'm not be able to help myself.
Yeah, exactly.
If I see you guys posting screenshots of it, take my money, go on, have it.
Exactly. And if you look at what's on the screen right now, you're thinking that looks 1.0 standard, doesn't it? If you know what I mean already. So it's not like you're jumping in where it's like bare bones. If you get what I mean. You might be content wise, but the way it looks, like, because they're like when Hades 1 was in early access, it did look good, but it didn't look quite as polished, if you know what I mean, as it did when it finally came out. I don't know if you'd agree with that, Luke, but I mean, it looked pretty good, but they definitely sort of zhuzhed it up quite a bit more for the actual full release. Yeah,
definitely.
Like this looks just pucker, like absolutely top-notch stuff already. So I think it's more going to be about the content building out and stuff like that, maybe different weaponry and options like that, like you say. And just very, very, very cool. I love the coloration, as I say. The artwork of the Supergiant. I forget her name now, but there's the girl who takes the lead on that is incredibly talented. They've got a team of artists and animators, haven't they? But there's only a small team of that. But what they do is just incredible with character designs and just the art in general. It's just, I could just look at the visuals on their own and just enjoy it, you know what I mean? It's that good. But yeah, definitely very, very hyped. Who is hyped for Hades 2 in the chat, guys? Let us know. Are you looking forward to jumping into this one? Will you jump in on the early access, or will you wait for the full release, or will you not bothered at all, maybe? But yeah, definitely let us know in the chat, guys. I know Dazzy Baby likes a bit of Hades 1, so yeah, I'm sure he'll be keen to jump in. And yeah, shout out to 4GQTV in the house. Thank you very much for coming by. Great to see you in Clowns, buddy. And yeah, everyone else who's hanging out, really appreciate you guys. Definitely could not resist but give Hades 2 a nice little chance to chat about it into a bit of detail. So yeah, I'm just so hyped for it though. Like, we don't know tons and tons, a lot of speculation out there at the moment about things. We do know some characters, like I say, that are in there, and they are very intriguing, and I think they're going to have a lot of scope and offer a lot of play for us to take this game in, which is already, you know, a 10 out of 10 game pretty much, you know. And just how are they going to perfect perfection, if you see what I mean? It's just going to be incredible to see them try, because they are that good. They're top of their game, super giants. So it's just going to be a pleasure to behold all of that. But yeah, very exciting. Do we know a date or anything yet, guys? Do you know if there's a date for this targeting for this early access or anything?
No, I just think just next year.
Next year, is that cool? Yeah. Nice, good stuff. Cool. And shout out to Dreadpool as well. He said he voted for Hollow Knight. Should I keep this poll running for longer, or shall I end it? I'm going to end it when Silk Song takes over.
That's the win first.
Yeah. I've not voted, by the way, guys, because I genuinely, some people might be surprised about this, but I can't really choose between those two, because they're two top-notch games, and I wouldn't want to choose between two, you know, the absolute best. It's hard.
Just embrace that you're going to have both of them next year.
Exactly.
Well, what a year for you.
Yeah.
I know, man. It's going to be crazy. It's just like, how do we now call the best indie of the year if they both come out in the same year? That's impossible. We'll see, I guess. But
what are they? If they do, what are the Game Awards going to do?
That's it. Yeah.
In terms of, if you've got Game of the Year, you can only have one indie in there.
Yeah, they with the token one. Two in there.
Typically have early access games.
Yeah,
because if it goes 1 if it doesn't go 1.0 next year, will it still be eligible? I don't know what their rules are around early access
difficult
generally.
Because I mean, Vampire Survivors was in this year, right?
When it's 1.0, yeah.
It's 1.0, even though it was early access.
Yeah, usually they don't put it in as early access, but I think maybe they might have make an exception for Hades. I don't know. What do you reckon?
Yeah, maybe we'll see.
Yeah, it will be interesting.
It won't matter because we'll get to play it. So.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, wonder how long that early access period. I think the early access period will be shorter than it is in Hades 1 as well, potentially. Yeah. So I don't know if it can be that short, though, to get it in the same year, but maybe a year it might be or something. The first one was more than a year, wasn't it, I think? Do you remember rightly?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, awesome stuff, though. Cannot wait to dive into Hades 2. Just damn perfection. So exciting times, guys. But yeah, let's move forward. I don't want to move away from Hades, to be honest, but you know, because it's glorious. But there's so much else that was glorious too that we did see at the Game Awards. So let's see here. What do we have? So yeah, I mean, one of the other things which was awesome to see, let's just dive into another one, and that is a game returning, which was put on a bit of a back burner because of a bit of a tragic situation with the war and stuff. And it was awesome to see this game back on the scene after, like I say, last year it was said that it was basically obviously put on hold because of the effect of the war on all the families and everything in the Ukraine area. And yeah, now we see replaced back on with a new trailer, which looked truly awesome in my opinion. And so what did you guys think about seeing Replaced come back? Anyone excited for Replaced? No one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited for it. I think, as you say, it's been a while since we've seen it. It's very eye-catching, so I think it's one of those where you just knew instantly what it was. I mean, I think, the art style is just so impressive.
Yeah.
In this. Like, every time you look at it, it's just kind of blows my mind in much the same way that oh god, what's the game? What's the other one that looks like this called?
Last Night.
Last Night.
Yeah.
So,
that shows it's been a while now.
yeah, it's been a while. So I think kind of similar-ish art styles from both of those. But this one is kind of a bit more 3D than The Last Night is. Like The Last Night is like a 2.5D game like this, but this kind of expands it a bit more, especially with some of the foreground stuff.
Yeah.
And it just looks awesome. I mean, the question is, as always with these games, is just how engaging is it to play
Yeah.
rather than look at. But I think if they can, there's some combat scenes in this which look really cool actually. And I really like the way that they use the camera
Yes,
in this,
definitely.
right? The kind of cinematography of it's really clever.
100%.
So it just looks great. I'm glad it's kind of back up and running. It's a Game Pass game.
Yeah.
So coming day one, which is awesome. I'm really looking forward to it. Just
Definitely.
the art style is just phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, this was an epic trailer again. Like amazing to see it back, and not just back, but looking way better than before, even for my money as well. Definitely. But yeah, like you say, like the depth and the cinematography and the lighting is amazing. I think in this, it really sells it. Really, like you've got this pixel art vibe. You've got like a real. You've got scenes where it's like someone in the background waving and doing the little whistle and stuff at one point. I don't know if you remember that bit, but it's just little bits like that, just really immersive and a cool blend between pixel art and very clever lighting techniques, basically, that just bring it to life. And it's very stylish and obviously like cyberpunk vibes and stuff. That cool look that a lot of us do enjoy. So but I just love all the lighting in it that really just makes it look truly like cinematic. But I'm looking forward to this. Scotty baby, what do you reckon to replace? I think you said you were quite hyped about this bit previously, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was one of my most anticipated games of this year, indeed, before it was delayed, unfortunately, due to the war. So it was great to see it back. Obviously, I think they only said 2023. I don't think they were more specific than that. But it's still good to have a year on it. Obviously, couldn't have said it any better than Luke did. It really does look fantastic. The art style's great. The audio design was great. And the combat looks excellent as well. So I'm really, really excited for this game. And as Luke mentioned, obviously it's a game that's coming to Game Pass, and I think we'll talk about 2022 a little bit later in the show. But I think Game Pass has proven to be just an excellent place for indie titles in general last year, and that looks like it'll continue into next year. And it looks like they've got a really good home there, and hopefully that's helping bring more eyes to these games than maybe they would have otherwise had. So really, really excited to play this.
Awesome. No, fantastic. That's great takes, buddy. Replace looks very cool. Like you say, the Game Pass thing is superb. Sad Cat Studios, I think it is, and then Coatsink is the publisher, who are a really cool publisher. They've done some really random different types of games actually, but they're like they work with Thunder for a bit as well. So they were on the stand at EGX. The guy from Coatsink was on the stand with Thunder on the Thunderful stand basically, and he's the Coatsink guy. So they're kind of quite close with them in a sense, which is pretty cool.
They did Moonglow Bay, which was
that's it.
One of the games I enjoyed last year.
Nice.
And we'll touch on one of my favorite trailers of the show in a bit, but they also were involved in Gang Beasts.
Cool.
Party Animals is very much Gang
so
Beasts
definitely different aesthetic to this one. And then they've got another one which they done a while back, which I actually streamed on the channel, which is Cake Bash. I don't know if you ever heard of that game. It's like a party kind of game, 4 players, and it's just kind of cutesy but like fun and just party elements, and you have to do all these sort of mini games and stuff like that. But that's another one of the games. I actually really enjoy that game. But they've got some quite sort of diverse sort of styles of game, which is pretty cool, because how you sometimes get developers and publish and they're all like the same style of game, if you know what I mean. They're like sort of like MO, I suppose you could say. But if they seem to mix it up a bit, which is cool. But they're pretty good. I think actually what happened with the Thunderfall thing is Thunderfall have actually bought Coatsink. I think that's what happened. So so they're part of that group now. Thunderfall are all consuming at the moment. I think they're just you know what I mean, doing getting some great people under there.
The regulators on them.
Exactly. There's nothing mentioned about that, is there?
I've just realised that Coatsink is headquartered in Sunderland.
Oh,
which
amazing.
is right on my doorstep. I had no idea that was the case.
Nice.
I'm gonna might have to get in touch.
Yeah, to pop
See if
by,
they can
yeah.
drop me some codes.
Nice.
Maybe.
You should go past, drop by the studio or whatever. Definitely. That's awesome. Cool. So fantastic reveal, definitely. And by the way, guys, in the chat, definitely let us know your favorite reveals from the Game Awards. Any awesome indie games that was shown off. And if it wasn't an indie game, don't worry, you will break my heart a little bit, but it's all good. Just let us know what your favorite reveals were. But if it's an indie game, you might get a brownie point. But yes, you'll get a little star by your name. And shout out to Jamie Richardson in the chat. How are you doing, my friend? Great to see you back in. Thank you very much for being here. So yeah, let's move on to the next reveal we saw on the indie side from the Game Awards, because there was a ton of awesome ones. Actually, let's fire this one straight to Scott, because I know there's one that you did like the look of, and you just alluded to it a second ago. So let us know why we should be interested in this crazy game, Scott. Party Animals.
Can I just quickly say before that, I've just realised that Codes Think this started in Sunderland, which is right on my doorstep.
Oh, okay.
Their office is literally on the same business park that I work at as well, which is truly bizarre. It's literally the building opposite the one that I work at in Gateshead. That's crazy. I had absolutely no idea.
That is amazing. That is cool.
Party Animals. This was actually delayed out of 2022, if I remember correctly, as well. And if you've played and enjoyed Gang Beasts, it looks very similar to that. Although I think the big difference is here is kind of the addition of weapons. And I don't know if either of you guys have played Gang Beasts, but it can be unbelievable fun. Like genuinely, There's been times I've played that game and I've been crying with laughter. I've had a massive bad head, or I've been playing till like 2-3 a.m. because it's just it can just be unbelievably fun, and it's very much of that ilk. Like I say, you've got weapons, which is a big difference. You play as an animal rather than just like a blob, I guess. And I'm really looking forward to this. It does look a lot of fun, and I believe it'll probably be quite popular as well. I believe it was part of one of the Steam demo periods. I can't remember exactly which one. It's fun. Yeah, it might have been that, and I believe it was unbelievably popular during that. But you can see through some of these trailers that it just looks to be a lot more. There seems to be just a little bit more depth to the gameplay. Like they've got some additional modes. Like there was one where he was carrying like an American football and things like that. So
that 2D on the TV.
Cool. Genuinely, this is one of my most anticipated games for next year. That might be weird to say, because I had so much fun playing Gang Beasts with friends. That really looking forward to this one.
Love it. Awesome stuff. I do like a crazy game. So I love the way they've crossed out the 2022 early and then changed it to 2023. It's brilliant. I love stuff like this. Sometimes it's just good to kick back and just do something bonkers like with these styles of games, and they're just so much fun sometimes. How about yourself, Luke? Is this up your street? Is this your, fitting into your survival horror sort of themed games that you quite like to enjoy? Or
it's up there with Dead Space.
No.
I mean, seriously, I also play Gang Beasts a fair bit, and it's genuinely really, really, really fun. It's a great party game. So this looks basically like that. But with weapons, and it's got animals. So what more could you want? You know what it reminds me of in a weird way? It reminds me of Kung Fu Chaos. If people remember playing.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So, but just like a little more wacky, if that makes any sense. So, it just looks really cool. I think it's something about the stages. The stages are really kind of inventive in the same way that the Kung Fu Chaos ones were. So, it looks great. It looks really fun. It will do really well. As Scott said, it's just one of those games that will do really well. So I will definitely play it.
Nice, very good. Yeah, it's good to see it back on the scene as well. It looks like a real fun time to get. It's a bit, a Fall Guys effect, isn't it, sort of thing, if you know what I mean? Where it's just like bonkers and fun, simplistic, but good wholesome fun. But the trailer is also very well done in the comedy sense, which I thought was a good one. But definitely a nice one to check out there. Something a bit different to the usual play on here as well. But yeah, awesome stuff. So yeah, what do you think of this cheeky game, guys, in the chat? What do you think of Party Animals? I nearly forgot the name of it then for some reason. It's not that it's not on my wish list or anything. It's in Game Pass as well, isn't it? So that's a beautiful thing on that one. Is that right?
Yeah,
Game Pass,
yeah, it is. So yeah, it's like I say, I think you mentioned it, that it was originally due out next year, but as Luke says, it'll be unbelievably popular. Game Pass will do it really well. It's kind of, if it's anything like Fall Guys, which it looks like. Did you guys play Humans Fall Flat?
Yeah, it's definitely got that vibe as well.
Yeah, the sort of the weird controls.
Yeah.
With that, just
exactly,
it looks a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to just little things like playing as this stupid fucking duck. Like I'm just looking forward to like drop kicking a fox or something as a duck. Like just saying that sentence alone is pretty crackers. So. Really, really
exactly. Yeah, and awesome stuff. Yeah, great. So yeah, funnily enough, Dapper Dog, we were just about to get to that one. Don't you worry, my friend. Yeah, it's definitely on our list right here. So yeah, we may as well tuck into that right now, as you would love to hear about it, I'm sure, and so would we love to talk about it, because Celeste. Definitely one of my favorite games of all time, pretty much, and Luke's as well, I believe. And Scott, did you play Celeste? You love Celeste, or?
I've played it. I haven't completed it. Okay. I did enjoy what I played, but I don't think I hold it in quite the same steam that you gents do. But
cool, no worries.
Yeah. I actually think I'll vibe with this new one a bit more than Celeste.
Yeah, it is quite a bit different. So yeah, what we're talking about right now is the fact that we saw the new game, announced from the Celeste developers, of course, which is very much, I was super excited to see that. So it's called Earthblade, guys, and Celeste, like I say, one of my favorite games in a good while. It's just an incredible experience. This looks to be quite a bit different in some senses, where it's adding combat into the play, obviously, as well. It's less simplistic in the control sense, where Celeste was beautifully simplistic. This obviously brings in quite a few more mechanics, and it's Metroidvania in there as well, which is quite interesting, because I do love a Metroidvania. They're not saying it's specifically pinned in that Metroidvania only genre, but it's definitely going to be tagged as Metroidvania on Steam, they have said. So yeah, but it's just that it's going to have other elements going on as well, so it's going to be a bit of a blend of genres, which is really cool. But yeah, it's so cool to see this announced, and the first gameplay shown of it as well. Very interested in this one, and I'm super interested to hear what Luke thinks. I know you're very excited to find out about this game. So what did you think about seeing it, brother?
Oh, I was really happy. I think probably just as happy to see this as Hades 2.
Right, nice.
I think that's probably because I think Celeste is probably one of the best platformers ever made.
Yep, absolutely.
And one of my everybody has kind of favorite gaming memories, but for me, one of my favorite gaming memories is playing Celeste at Christmas a few Christmases ago now, maybe 3 or 4 Christmases ago.
Nice.
And I played it start to finish in a couple of days.
Awesome. Yeah.
And I absolutely adored it. I just thought it was not just like a great. I mean, it's got some of the tightest controlling platforming you'll ever experience.
Yes,
that's really cool. It's got great stages. It's got such a great story and great character as well.
Yeah.
So I was always hyped for what Extremely OK Games were going to make next, which is the dev.
Yep.
But this is different. As you say, I think they call it like an explore action game, which is basically a Metroidvania.
Yep.
It's just how they call it. But, I think actually kind of the way that they seem to structure this, because they've said it's kind of a seamless 2D world and that sort of stuff. It's kind of Hollow Knight-ish. Like it's very similar.
Yep.
So if they can marry that with some of the platforming stuff that they did in Celeste, which it looks like they're trying to do, it looks like it's very, very tight controlling game as well.
Yeah.
With the art style that they have, which is just awesome. And obviously it's kind of harkening back to kind of like classic, 2D art style Zelda games almost. It's clearly heavily inspired by something like that.
Definitely, yeah.
Then it's going to be amazing.
Yeah,
it's going to be awesome. It's just a pity we have to wait, 2024, I think they said on the trailer. So
that's right.
It's going to be a while.
Yeah, they said in the Q&A, there's a Q&A if you wanted to check it out at any point with the developers. I didn't watch the full thing, but I watched about half of it, and they were saying that they did that a little bit conservatively, but that makes sense to do so, obviously. So that's a good thing that they're kind of taking a bit of precaution there, not just being overambitious, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
But 2024 is probably, hopefully it will be the day. But if it's the day, it's the day. When it comes, it comes, and it's such a cool announcement. I love what you just said there. All of what you just said excites me. What you just said there, I like it, because Celeste is a big game for me as well. It's so good in so many ways. I say it so many times on this channel, but I just love the way it's so amazing in the platforming sense, like you say. It's just so tight and feels so good to play. But the way it merges that with the story, the overcoming of the demons and stuff like that, and the climbing of the mountain metaphor and all that is, obviously you are actually climbing a mountain, but it's also the climbing of the mountain within. I always say that on this channel, but it's, I just love the way it does that in the game. And it's interesting because that game came out of a game jam, Celeste did, and this one is going to be built from the ground up essentially by the team. So and did you know that Celeste was actually made in 2 years? I don't know if you knew that, which is crazy.
I didn't.
That's crazy, isn't it? Yeah. So they were talking about that in the Q&A. I was actually shocked by that. But like I say, game jam and then 2 years, I was just blown away. But yeah, because it was one of those kind of like, the idea was there, and they carried that idea all the way through. So this one is a bit more there, sort of like, going to this sort of, how do we say, sort of brainstorming with the whole team, talking about different things they can do, that kind of sort of collaborative approach, which will be a bit different in that regard, but could definitely be an amazing thing for it as well. But yeah, I think that's why it's going to be a bit of a longer development thing, because they're trying to really go for something special, but it's less of a sort of like instinctive sort of way of developing it, I suppose, because that idea conceptually is just really good with Celeste. I suppose you just climbing the mountain, and then it just ties together so well. But I've got so much high hopes for this, because I do love Metroidvanias, and just the amazing work that they've done with Celeste. I'm excited to see. They talked about this weird thing that they didn't want to go into detail. They said it's the best thing in the game, the right stick. I don't know what that really means, but there's a thing you can do in this game where you have to use the right stick, and it's going to be the coolest thing. So I know that's very, very vague, but I'm intrigued by it, and that's weird. For sure. Yeah. So
there's nothing in the trailer that even hints at what that could be, though, is there?
No, I don't want the the floating sword. Obviously, I don't know if there's anything with regards to.
You hit the right stick, you'll be blown up into Hollow Knight.
Yeah, it's the only way to get to it. Yeah, I love it. That's great. But yeah, let's just fire this one over to Scott. I know you said you enjoyed Celeste, but not as much as us, maybe. But yeah, what did you think of this? Do you think this might get you intrigued and looking forward to jumping into it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I say, it's not that I didn't like Celeste. I really, really enjoyed what I played. And unfortunately, I just, for whatever reason, dropped it. But I was really enjoying what I played before I did.
Nice.
I think the addition of the combat in this game is probably something that's making me, like I say, vibe with it a little bit more than Celeste. So, everything that Luke said, it's hard to add anything to what Luke said. Around the art style and things like that.
Yeah.
So really excited. I think the biggest surprise for me is just it being that far out. It's a little unusual to get a date so far out, particularly for indie games. I think out of all the announcements during the Game Awards, I think this is the only one that had 2024 on it. I think. Right. Of the ones that had a date. So they must be confident they can hit that date. But I think it would have been, like 5 years since Celeste came out, maybe even longer by the time this...
2017 or 18, I can't remember which one it is.
Yeah, so 6 to 7 years at that point. So it would have had a good, healthy development period, it seems. So
definitely. I wanted to actually, just noticed in the chat there, Dapper Dog was saying about right stick swings the sword at the angle of the stick, ? And funnily enough, Dapper Dog and, Biogun uses the right stick, doesn't it? That's funny. I wonder if you've got any thoughts about that. Yeah, because I wonder if it is kind of twin stick-esque in this sense in this game in some way. Potentially, yeah. Sorry, I just sort of thought there, but yeah, the combat would definitely, bring other people in, maybe who not so into this hardcore platform, because Celeste is definitely hardcore platforming, which I love it for, obviously, and it just feels so good. I highly recommend you jump back into it, though, Scotty baby.
Yeah,
definitely.
I probably shouldn't I?
Yeah. What how far in were you? Sort of like a couple hours, or
how long's the game in the end? I mean, if Luke did it in a couple of seconds, I imagine it's probably what, like maybe 10.
Very much variable on your skill level, I would say.
One thing I do remember, and one thing I really enjoyed about Celeste, and I like games that have sort of these accessibility options, is there were a couple of times that I did put the invincibility mode on. That was part of the accessibility settings, because I think there was one part where I think I did become a little bit frustrated, but it was nice just that option as well. So I think I was maybe like 4 hours in or something like that.
Yeah, cool,
before
nice.
I dropped it. So yeah, I should probably get back to it, especially with this game coming out.
Yeah,
holidays coming up, plenty time.
Exactly. You can have Luke's experience of Christmas with Celeste.
Yeah, that could be you. That could be you.
It could be you.
I'm sold.
Definitely, you should do it. Oh, it's amazing. The music as well, like I was saying, is it's done by was it Lena Rain? Yeah. So she's part of the team. So amazing. We're going to get good, amazing music again. It's just, they are an incredibly talented team, and everything. Oh no, everything's there, the ingredients wise. But I mean, Celeste. Funnily enough, I was listening to Celeste soundtrack in the car a minute ago. It's a bit random listening to it in the car, I have to say, but it's just an amazing soundtrack. I was dropping my wife off, and she was like, "Why have we got Celeste in the car?" It's just
why not?
Exactly.
Is the correct answer to that.
Exactly.
See, that's good, because when I mentioned Celeste to my wife, she's like, "Oh, fucking Celeste." She's like, and the reason being is because I remember at the time, so when I played this over Christmas, she always has a Christmas game as well. Her Christmas game was, it was Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Similar games.
And she was, and at the time we were in a one bed flat.
Right.
So I was in the bedroom playing Celeste, and she was in the living room, and it was quite small. So the door was open, and there's that bit in Celeste where you go to the hotel, and every so often you hear this ding dong because you're like, there's some bit, and I was stuck on that bit for like an hour and a half. So every few minutes it'd be like a ding dong, and she's like, "What the fuck is that noise? Like, what is it?" And I'm like trying to explain. She's like, "Can you just like mute it or something?" I'm like, "No, because I'm trying to enjoy the music as well." So every time I mention it,
Luke's got such lovely headphones.
It
all stemmed from that.
Yeah, that's it. That's what spurred it. That was like the origin story of this.
I love that. Yeah, the hotel bit. That's an amazing level as well.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. But the completion of that game does vary depending on like how, just some bits are just really hard. Like the last bit of the game took me like a couple of hours. I was really bashing my head against it, because it's not like difficult to know what to do in that game. It's all about like the reflex of it and being able to execute it. That was pretty hard, but I loved it. Yeah, no,
it's so much fun. It's it's punishing at times though, but like I had a lot of deaths, but the beautiful thing is if you do die into the spikes, you literally pop straight back up. So,
straight back.
Yeah, it's great like but yeah, no, it's an amazing game. If you haven't played Celeste, guys, definitely do so, and get yourself ready for Earthblade, which looks amazing. I'm very intrigued to see where this is going to go. I'm pretty sure it's going to be an incredible experience, and for some reason the sort of art style kind of reminds me of like The Messenger or something. Don't know if it gives you any of those vibes, this game.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, so I think
it's a bit more involved.
Yeah, I think it's the characters, something to do with the characters as well, I think. Yeah, so but definitely looks cool. I'd say this trailer is obviously highlighting the fact it's a Metroidvania, but also would you say it's highlighting the fact that it's one flowing world, like you mentioned earlier?
I think it does that quite well.
It does,
a contiguous space.
Exactly, that's it. Yeah.
It just
Yeah, rather than like some Metroidvanias where you go through a room and then it goes black and then it turns into the next room along.
Yeah.
If you see what I mean.
Yeah,
This one, it's one flowing thing, which is pretty cool. So definitely looks amazing. Get it on your wish list, guys. And very excited for Earthblade. And yeah, check out that Q&A later on if you fancy, after the show if you don't mind. But yeah, Q&A with the developers, of course, of this game, and you will be enlightened with a little bit of bit more insight. But yeah, definitely looks amazing. Ready for it. So next up, let's move on. So what should we go for? This one's a little bit of probably a quicker one, but I know Luke was excited to see this, and that is the Dead Cells Castlevania sort of DLC. It got dropped, and I know you're a big fan of that. So many of us. But yeah, I know you were especially excited to see this one, Luke. What did you think? Buddy?
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm always in for more Dead Cells.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, I think Dead Cells is incredible.
Yeah.
It's been a fair while since they had any DLC for it. So it was a bit unexpected. I thought they were done with it, but I'm glad they're not. And it's kind of like, I mean, it's the kind of perfect collaboration that they could have done, really. So I'm really interested to see what it will actually be. I suspect it will be, just an extra stage, and Castlevania, Dracula at the end, probably.
Right.
But I think it's awesome. It looks great. As I say, it's a kind of it's a perfect kind of collaboration for them to do. I'm sure they, clearly they were huge Castlevania fans anyway.
Yes.
Because Dead Cells is clearly influenced by it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think it's awesome, and I think just more broadly, it's Konami using their IPs again, and if it means we're getting some Castlevania content somewhere, I would hope that extends to a Castlevania game or some.
Definitely.
If we can have 40,000 Silent Hill games, which I'm all for, by the way, but if we can have that, then we can surely have a lot more Castlevania games as well.
Yeah, no, definitely, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, no, it's definitely a nice blend, perfect fit kind of thing for the game. And I'm with you. I love Dead Cells so much. It's an amazing game. The gameplay, just top notch. Not so much story to speak of, but if you love gameplay, it does that like 10 out of 10, doesn't it, sort of thing. Visuals and stuff as well. But yeah, looks really cool. I think this is a really cool announcement. Are you up for this, Scott, buddy?
I've not played Dead Cells.
Oh my god!
So I'm maybe a little bit ashamed to say after what you guys have just said. So I've not checked. I did obviously hear really, really good things about it.
Yeah.
Obviously, Luke just had some very both of you had very high praise for it. So glad that you guys got it. And as Luke said, maybe it's a sign of things to come when it comes to Castlevania content from Konami as well.
So it's a good thing that you've got a bit of time off for Christmas, because there's another one on your list. So we've got Dead Cells Celeste on there for you. We'll just get that jotted down. I'll print that off for you. That's all good. No, 2 games though. I mean, it's one of those ones, isn't it? It's the always in the top of the indie game list, isn't it? Dead Cells and Celeste. But yeah, cool game if you enjoy your roguelikes. And I suppose it's more a roguelite, isn't it, Dead Cells? But yeah, definitely an awesome game, and it's always good to see more content for awesome games. So yeah, definitely.
I wish we had better names for those genres. I really, I wish they just had 2 very distinct names for the 2 of them.
What would you call it? Jane and John?
Just anything.
Anything
roguelite and roguelike.
You don't like it? Because they're quite close. Is that what you mean? It's hard to you have to really overpronounce it. Yeah, it's like you have to really go for it. To make sure you can hear it. I recommend Dazzy Baby trying out Dead Cells, because he likes Hades, and then if you like Hades, it's a good access point for that genre, isn't it? And then you can get into so many other games. But yeah, Dead Cells is really cool. A really good game. So some people even think Dead Cells is better than Hades. Don't know how you feel about that there, Luke. You in the same boat as that?
Oh, that's difficult, isn't it?
That's a tough one, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Yeah, I think in terms of gameplay, a case could be made for that.
Yeah,
maybe.
exactly.
Not story, because
Not story
Hades
at all.
is exceptional at story.
Exactly,
whereas
yeah.
Dead Cells isn't the same. But
No, it's pretty.
they're both great. Just enjoy them both.
Exactly. Yeah. Just like to put you on the on the choice block there,
but try and trip me up.
And then it's like later on, you said this. No, but it's, but yeah, I mean, if I had to choose one, I would choose Hades because it's more rounded. If you see what I mean, it's got more to offer, I think, as a whole, because it still has that gameplay. But yeah, good stuff. Fantastic announcement. So here, let's go from something quite fast-paced and energetic to something a little bit more chilled out that got announced as well, which is a game called Viewfinder, which is actually going to be published by Thunderful. Another awesome game by the looks of it, coming from that awesome publisher that we love, Thunderful. My mistake, I've actually forgotten the developer name. My apologies. But yeah, this looks really cool, I think. Nice relaxing experience. Kind of reminds me of Superliminal. Is that what it's called? Superliminal? Yeah, cool. Yeah, it got that sort of vibe, hasn't it? So, but yeah, I like the viewfinder aspect where it's, where it's, I suppose, alluding to, composition and stuff like that. But I think it looks really lovely. Nice art style, cool things going on, and I like these sort of relaxing games once in a while. What do you reckon to this? Should we say Scotty, bro?
Yeah, this is I think it's Sad Owl.
That's it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, this is actually just really interesting. I remember this trailer really stood out because of just the different art styles that are presented in the game, and the way that they kind of overlay kind of the photographs of the different pictures and the changing of perspectives. It looks really, really cool. Something quite different. I don't think I've played a game that messes with perspective like that. It reminds us of, I can't remember the game, but I believe there was a VR game that was similar to that, where I think it was a VR game where you kind of got an object and you could.
You're not thinking of you're Superliminal as well, maybe.
I'm thinking of that. Was there a VR version of that?
I think you're thinking of, was there a game called was it Maquette or something like that?
Yeah.
It was on PlayStation.
Annapurna game.
Which was a similar game in terms of it played with the perspective of things.
Yeah.
So it was first person. So, and I'm sure there might have been a VR element to that. So
that's
possibly.
Cool. Yeah.
I've not played a game like it. So and like I say, the trailer just really, really stood out because of how different it looked compared to pretty much everything else that was shown at the show. Just looking at the trailer here, I love the way the different art styles kind of blend with each other as you change perspective. So yeah, we're really excited for this.
Awesome, buddy. Yeah, no, it looks really nice, actually. Nice and relaxing and quite creative. The cool game for my man Meisuko. I know he likes these sorts of games, being the artiste that he is. But yeah, awesome, Scott. I'm glad to hear you like the look of it as well. I remember you had a way back when you did a podcast with Superliminal as the gameplay. I don't know whose gameplay that was.
I think that was Flaps.
Oh, was it? Okay, cool.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, cool. I think I remember that actually now, yeah. So yeah, I thought I'd check that. But yeah, no, good stuff. It's a really cool announcement, and, big spotlight for a small little game like this, which is lovely to see. I think people are coming around to Jeff Keighley. I'm just sidetracking big time now, but I think they're giving him a bit of a break now, like they should have done a few years ago, in my opinion. But there we go.
Yeah, I mean, look, I agree with Luke that I think this is his best show that he's done so far. And obviously, we've spoken about some of the awesome indie games that were announced. I do think he has been guilty in the past of overhyping his shows, and I think that's a fairly fair criticism. Fair criticism of him.
I know what you mean, but the thing is, where you got a show, you're going to hype it on. We all try and get people in and stuff. It's just the nature of how you do things, isn't it? Marketing, but
that's true. And I mean, I've said it before. I think more recently has been a little bit more balanced or leveled about it when he's talking about the show and sort of AMAs on Reddit and things like that. And he did seem really, really excited for this show, actually. And because of how he had sort of spoken about other shows in the more recent past, that kind of got me excited. It made me think, he's probably got some good stuff up his sleeve. I honestly wasn't expecting there to be such an indie presence, though. Like, I was expecting some, but not to the level that we ended up getting, I don't think.
Definitely, yeah. No, I'm really pleased to see that. It does tend to say quite a lot. We like to represent indies, but you know, sometimes you think whether he's saying that or not. But I think he genuinely likes to represent these smaller games. So, I mean, I know a lot of people like to slag him off, and you're quite balanced in general, Scott. So I'll let you off. But
the show's still too long. I will not get away from the fact. It said this show was significantly shorter. It was half an hour shorter than previous shows. I mean, it was much better pace this year. Well, I will say at least, but I still think it's a little too long. But
that's fair. That's fair. I mean, because I went to sleep at the right time, didn't I? Luke? I think just it seemed like based on I said I'm gonna retire to the Bedfordshire, and then it seemed like from where I looked up the next day, from that point on, I did at the right time, if you know what I
mean. Yeah, I think you're right.
It was Death Stranding 2 for me. That point of sleep.
Oh dear!
I think I said to BMG to BMG. I'm seeing in the chat. Thanks BMG. I think
I'm gonna read that one. Sorry.
But no, I think I said to Indy at the time. I remember because you were saying, "Oh, I think I'm gonna." This was after Death Stranding 2, but you said, "Oh, I think I'm gonna go to bed now because tired." And I was like, I said something along the lines of Death Stranding 2 had amped me up to continue.
Definitely.
Super pumped afterwards. So I was like really away. I was like, yeah.
It's like walking around, like punching himself in his house. Like I can imagine you chest out, like walking around your house.
Yeah, start weightlifting and that, because I'm so amped.
I love it.
Shirtless doing squats while slapping himself in the face.
Yeah. Well, Low Roar is on in the background thinking of Death Stranding.
Amazing. Anyway, I'm going to have to read this super chat out because the legendary BMG has kindly dropped a super chat of 179 into the chat saying, hello there. Thank you so much, my friend. Loving the avatar as well, by the way. Really appreciate that, buddy. And it's awesome to see you in the chat there. Thank you so much, everyone who's hanging out for the show. As always, it's always so good to see your faces in there. You make this show what it is. So yeah, just amazing pleasure to be able to share indie goodness with you all. So thank you very much for hanging out. But yeah, so sounded quite German then actually. But yeah, so let's see where have we got any left from this. Yes, so I've got one more here to bring into play. So going from something quite relaxing to something quite intense. This one I think Luke might be interested in, and that is a game called Post Trauma. Do you remember this one, Lukey, bro?
I do. Yeah, this is the horror game.
Yeah. So this looks pretty cool. Like sort of blending sort of like that retro kind of like fixed camera thing with more modern sort of visual thing. But yeah, what do you reckon to it?
I thought it looked great. Yeah, I even thought it kind of looked like a Silent Hill project.
Right.
When you just kind of have the kind of first image of it. But I think it's really cool because we don't get many fixed camera horror games anymore, obviously. Yeah. And when we do, they tend to go for kind of the classic like, PlayStation 1 look or kind of visual fidelity.
Exactly.
Whereas this one, actually, they've gone for like kind of hyper realistic visuals, which I think's a bit more interesting. It's kind of like the Medium, but hopefully with a better story than the Medium had. So I think that's really really cool. And it just looked really interesting, and there's this bit at the end where it seems to go into first person perspective. Which I thought was a bit interesting as well. So maybe they're mixing up the horror. That's cool.
That is cool.
So I think this look really good. Like something very different. And really nice looking game. I'll be interested to see what the story's fully about and kind of a few more of the gameplay mechanics. But yeah, I thought it looked cool.
Definitely, yeah. No, it looks awesome. I think when I saw this, I was definitely interested, and I like the blend. Like you say, it's just and that is quite an interesting point actually, because usually, like say Signalis or something like that, they go for that sort of true to the time, which is cool, obviously, true to the time look, but also with the fixed cameras. But this one kind of brings the modern with the fixed camera thing and blends it all together in something pretty cool looking, anyway. But yeah, hopefully it will be a great game to play as well. But yeah, at the moment, from everything I've seen, I'm very much interested. How do you feel about this one, Scott, bro?
I'm not really a horror guy, Indy.
Really?
I'm I'm a bit of a scaredy cat, unfortunately.
No
so I don't have that what's what I'm for. I don't have the same appeal for
Disposition?
indie games that's a much better word.
Same good taste.
Yeah. So it's not really a game that caught my imagination. It's just not a genre I typically vibe with. To be honest, I mean, I've played some of the Resident Evil games. 7, I dropped pretty early because it made me shit my pants a good couple of times. It's just not one that I typically play, to be honest. So, but I know Luke's obviously a massive fan of horror games. So I did play the medium, but that was about as scary as a cat. So it really just
kind
wasn't.
Of cat,
yeah. So it just wasn't in any way scary. So not something that was up my street. But I guess for people like Luke and those who like that genre, I guess you guys are going to be eating good with so many of these horror games coming up over the next 12 months.
Definitely, there's so much to look forward to. And anyone who saw the Dead Space first minutes of the game, I was blown away by that. So I'm ready for it. Just to sidetrack once again, but yeah, Dead Space, I can't wait for that. I know it's not an indie game, but I make allowances for the best of the AAAs. But yeah, looking forward to Dead Space. But yeah, no worries, Scotty bro, that's all good. So Jamie Richardson says horror survival, I love them type of games. Yeah, awesome buddy, fantastic. And Meisuko saying about he loved the Unfinished one, so definitely gives you that type of vibe. That was with reference to obviously Viewfinder. That's definitely makes sense to me. Unfinished one, I never actually played that. That's the other game from Giant Sparrow, isn't it? Is that what they're called? Giant Sparrow, the ones who made What Remains of Edith Finch, I believe. But yeah, the same developer has made that game. They made the Unfinished one, which is quite a cool artistic game. But yeah, excellent stuff. Let's keep this bad boy moving. Cool. Thank you for confirming that, Meisuko. So yeah, one more on the Game Awards just to quickly highlight, and then we're moving on to our best games of 2022. One final one to mention, it might have drifted past you, which is a game called After Us. I'm not sure how much I'm loving this at this moment. The reason I'm interested in it though is because it's from a developer called Piccolo, who made the game Arise: A Simple Story, which was a really, really cool indie game that I played quite a few years back now. Don't know if any of you guys played Arise: A Simple Story. Did you?
Can't say I have, indie, unfortunately.
No. Cool. Well, it was a really...
I did the list.
Yeah, add it to that list, baby. Yeah, no, it's a really nice game, actually. Some cool mechanics. And yeah, that definitely makes me intrigued to know what, to give this one a shot anyway, at least, sort of thing, or a look and a wish list for sure, which I have indeed done. It does look really cool, actually. Now I'm looking at this trailer, I'm actually thinking, this looks actually really nice. I think that opening scene didn't sell it so much for me. I don't know why, but it just was a little bit off-putting, strangely. But the rest of the trailer, what did you think about this one? Let's go straight over to Scott this time. Do you like the look of this one, matey?
Yeah, I wasn't too sure what to think of this game, to be perfectly honest, Indy. The bit that's on here with the dead dog really upset me.
Oh, okay, I see. You're a big dog lover, aren't you?
No, not seriously, but it's it hit me in the feels.
Sure.
So I'm not too sure what to think of it, to be perfectly honest. I think it might be one of those ones that I have to get my hands on. I don't have any experience with that developer, but early next year, not too far away to be able to check it out. So
yeah, exactly. No, I definitely think it's worth keeping an eye on this one because the developer did an amazing job in the previous game. They definitely pulled the emotional strings very nicely in that game, and I think that's where that's got, obviously with the dog thing you just mentioned, that kind of stuff. There was a sort of a life and death sort of element in the original game, so maybe that's something they're doing again in this one.
Looks to be an element of that because she kind of I guess the spirit out of the dog during the trailer and stuff. So.
Exactly, yeah. So but definitely one to keep an eye on, I think. What did you think of this one, Luke? Did it grab you at all? Yeah, it's a no.
Yeah,
That's
no,
all good.
I think it looks okay. I don't know what it is about it. I think one of the problems is that it's going for like so it's fully 3D, but it's
Yep.
clearly not got the budget to really look amazing. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
I think the like when indie games go fully 3D, you've kind of got to go all in visually, because if you go like a halfway house, your game tends to look a bit uninspired almost, or like a bit low budget. I know
Yeah.
that sounds a really weird criticism, but I just think it's a problem when you don't have kind of a big AAA budget for your 3D games. So I think that kind of initially put me off. Not that I'm like super obsessed with visuals or anything, but I don't think the art style carries it. Yeah, I don't think the art style carries it to being like to being able to forgive the fact that it doesn't look amazing visually.
I think for me it looks pretty good. It's just the character that lets it down. I don't know how.
I think I agree with that, Andy. There is something about the character. I don't know if it's like just the overall design or like the hair or something like that. But I agree. There's just something about the character that maybe looks a bit off. I guess.
And that's a bit of a shame, because that's something you see a lot of, obviously, by the look of it. So I don't know whether that's something they can. Obviously not going to listen to us, but you know what I mean. It's one of those things. Yeah, better if they want to start getting.
They want that game to sell.
Yeah, it's true. That's true feedback there. But yeah, I mean, the first game there, the protagonist looked really good actually. So I don't know. It does put me off the character design actually, personally, but yeah, I know what you mean. That's fair enough, buddy. You can't love every game. We've only got so much time in the day anyway. And Stubbsy Baby just he's asking, why did I say it? In regards to what remains of Edith Finch, the game that Stubbs still hasn't got all the achievements for, even though he claims that he loves it. Oh dear, and they're probably the most easy achievements to get in any game, to be fair. Oh, sorry, Stubbs. I couldn't resist, and you gave us a donation. I'm so sorry. I'll take that back.
You've got his money now, Indeed. It's all right, man.
Flag him off all you want now.
It's all good. I'm just trying to encourage him to have a revisit of that wonderful game. Brilliant stuff.
I did get the Series X and PlayStation 5 patch not too long ago as well, if I remember.
Oh, really? Okay.
Really, yeah, just earlier this year, I think.
Very nice. Good excuse to get back in there, Stubbsy. Good
he doesn't
stuff.
have a PS5 though, so you've just dogged him even more.
He's got a Series X.
He's got
Series X.
Yeah, so
to be fair,
yeah.
There we go, Stubbs.
Beautiful stuff. Okay, so let's just do a quick wind up then of the Game Awards. What did you think of regards to what they done for indies? Because I know you've covered it immensely detailed, obviously, on your channel and everything. Check that out, by the way, guys, if you haven't already. Green Plus Gaming channel. But yeah, what did you think as an indie sort of vibe? Did you think they done well? Just to finish off the Game Awards bit when we're moving forward. Let's fire this one to Luke first. What did you think of the show in general in that regard?
Yeah, I think a great show generally for me, content-wise. I agree with kind of all of Scott's points around, length and stuff like that. In terms of indies, probably the best one they've ever done in terms of content. Lots of big announcements, great trailers, a real diversity of indie games as well, different art styles and genres, and kind of aesthetic as well. So I thought it was great. Really
Awesome.
Good. And I'd be very happy, if they kept doing, if they kept that quality up in terms of indie content, that would be pretty amazing.
Nice. Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you.
And also, what I will say as well, just a quick one. This is great for some of these games. Like, Keeley announced the stats.
Yep.
Today for the awards, 103 million viewers.
Exactly.
So
crazy, isn't it?
That's just incredible exposure for some of these games, and it's fantastic that he's highlighting them on that kind of stage. So
100%. Yeah, it's so true. That's like I say, like Viewfinder, these small little games, a lot of these, really, having that spotlight is immense. That's bigger than any other stage you could imagine. Like even when we used to think of, like, say, back when E3 and stuff was going on and stuff. Yeah. Like that was quite a big stage on the Xbox stage or something like that for them to put Spiritfarer or whatever it was back then on a big stage. That's good, but like, you know, the numbers compared to that to what this was probably nowhere near the same, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, but it's 100 million is a crazy number. So yeah, amazing stuff to they get in that spotlight, and yeah, nice mix of genres, nice mix of backgrounds from games, and yeah, love to see it basically. Well said there, Luke, brother. Glad you enjoyed the show. And Scott, what's your final thoughts from the Game Awards, brother?
Yeah, I mean, I think Luke said it really, really well. From my perspective, you know, I don't have the same love for Death Stranding as Luke does. So the indie games were the highlight of the show for me, particularly Hades 2, as we discussed at length earlier. So I thought overall a fantastic show for indies. It's great that whether you like Jeff Keighley or not, that he uses his platform, as Luke just mentioned, there over 100 million viewers, to showcase some of these games. I mean, Hades is kind of maybe an obvious one for that, but you know, like you said, games like Viewfinder and games like that are you know, you wouldn't expect to. They're not going to get a bigger stage to show off their game than this one. Like you say, it's many times bigger than anything like an Xbox show or a PlayStation show. So yeah, really, really good show overall. Like I say, the best show I think Keighley's done since he started doing the Game Awards. Or anything like Open Night Live or Summer Games Fest. And just very quickly, there's actually one game that I'm actually a little curious about, which you haven't talked about, which is Banishers. The new game from Dontnod.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a follow-up to Vampire, I believe, is it? Which I've not played actually. But, I'm a big fan of Dontnod's other games. Obviously, Tell Me Why most recently was I really enjoyed. This is obviously something very, very different. The trailer didn't show much of. There was like the smallest. It was like Aliens level of footage at the end.
Quite nice though.
Yeah,
the bit that they did show.
Looking forward to that game as well. So yeah, overall, just an awesome show, Andy.
Very nice, my friend. Yeah, awesome. So was that actually the Game Awards? Did I miss that then, or was that later on into the show?
Yeah, no, it was. I can't remember when it was, but it had a really great CG trailer. Actually, really, really kind of emotional.
Okay.
One, I thought quite. So I'd probably suggest checking it out, and then right at the end of that, they showed about 3/4 of a second's worth of gameplay.
It really wasn't much.
Right. But
cool.
I think you can check it out because it looked really interesting.
Awesome. That's fantastic. Yeah, no, I echo both of your thoughts there. It was an awesome show. You know, Luke, you know how hyped I was when we were talking as it was happening. Sometimes you get caught up in the hype, but to be honest with you, I carry what I said as it happens now, as it was an awesome show. Seeing Hades 2, seeing like Earthblade, replaced, so many fantastic indies showing up there and getting that spotlight. And the show as a whole, I thought it was really good. It was probably a bit long because I didn't stick around to the end, so I let Scott maybe just judge the length of it. It probably is right on that, I imagine, because I did retire early. So
I mean, I retired early as well, and I did catch up on what I missed afterwards. But I think it was 2.5 hours the main show plus 30 minutes pre-show. And the thing is, the pre-show had a lot of good stuff. I don't know why the pre-show's the pre-show when the pre-show had such good stuff in there. Even on the AAA side, they announced the Street Fighter 6 release date during the pre-show.
The pre-show was really good. I remember that.
Exactly. So 3 hours still seems a bit long for me personally, but I don't think he's ever going to get over that issue because
he's got awards.
He's either going to have to drop awards or he's going to have to drop announcements. You can't drop awards in the award show and you can't drop announcements because that's what people are watching. So I don't think we'll ever really get over that. But I think overall the pacing was much better than previous years. It's just a shame the time for us folks in the UK. I was absolutely knackered at work.
Yeah, me too. So it's frustrating, but that's so hard, isn't it? But especially they're doing a live event of actual in-person event, so they probably need to start it at 7 p.m. or whatever it is they start it at.
Exactly. In the States is going to be the biggest audience for that type of show, regardless. They've got to cater for all the different time zones over there. So
definitely. Yeah, so good show. Obviously we haven't talked about the awards, but let's just say Stray won debut indie, and it won best indie game as well. So there you go. You're probably happy about that one, Luke. Would you say? Yep, I'll take that as a yes.
Well, we obviously spoke about it, and I think Luke was a little disappointed that Immortality.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
it wasn't even nominated for. Well, actually, was it nominated for best indie? I think it was. It wasn't. I think Luke's opinion is
Yeah.
it should have been ahead of Stray in the actual Game of the Year category. So, and there's obviously
Yeah.
been a lot of controversy. I actually feel a little bit for the Stray developers, if I'm being honest, because I
Yeah.
think they've come in for a lot of heat
Mm.
because it was a popular game amongst games media.
Yeah.
And while I would agree that maybe there were other games like Immortality and Vampire Survivors in particular that I would have nominated above Stray or voted above Stray, I
Right.
do think that they've come in for a lot of unnecessary. Well, no one's criticizing them directly, but I can't imagine it's been nice for the developers of that game to read a lot of what people have been saying about Stray, if I'm being honest. So
Yeah, I know what you mean. It is a bit harsh, like people just acting like it shouldn't be there and stuff. When it's bang out of order, really. Why shouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's fair to say, look, this game should have been nominated ahead of this game, or you would prefer this game. But
Yeah.
I just think it came in for a lot of just a spotlight on it, just because it got nominated as like the indie nomination as part of the Game of the Year nominees. I think was a little unfortunate for them. But obviously they got 2 awards, which is good. I personally didn't enjoy Stray anywhere near as much as I thought I was
Right.
going to. But I could still appreciate what they created there. So
Yeah. No, that's cool. Yeah, and obviously you're quite happy, but you preferred Immortality to have won that, Luke. Is that right?
Yeah, I
Yep.
think so. Well, I think so. Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like, I think it's the reaction to the Stray stuff was pretty weird, to be honest. Like, it's very strange. I think it's not as if this was like a 6 out of 10 game across media. It was like in the 80s. It was a game that scored very well. It was well received. Lots of players played it.
Yeah.
And enjoyed it. It's very polished. I loved it. I thought it was a great experience. It's not going to be for everyone, but that's games for you. So
yeah.
And I think if I think people were saying, well, I don't know, Cult of the Lamb should have been there or something else, Vampire Survivors, and that's fine. But I think what people forget is that this is all very subjective.
Yeah.
So I think it's fine to say something else should have been there, but your opinion is not absolute.
Yep.
And to be honest, a lot of people that say this, like, no offense to them, but nobody gives a shit about their opinions anyway. So why should anybody else listen to them?
Yeah.
Because they just shout, old men shouting into a void most of the time. So
yeah.
Very bizarre. And then to, invariably this stuff about, because it was a PlayStation game, some of that seeps into some of the social media stuff, even though it's also on PC. And that's only like a part of it. And it would have been the same if it was on Xbox and, the inverse. But it's just that weird dialogue that comes out of all of that. When actually, just think about it logically. It's a game that was, by and large rated very highly. It's very impressive visually. It's very memorable because you play as a cat.
Yeah.
What do people love? People love cats, right? So, like, it was always going to be at the end of the year something that people remembered as being a good game. The games media that played it. So
definite. It's unique as well.
Yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah, it's unique. It's a different type of thing. I mean, it's not. It doesn't tread any ground in terms of an innovative game, but it's not Immortality, in my opinion, which is kind of genuinely innovative. But it does a lot of things really well.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have put it there, but I didn't go then online and say weird things about it because it was there. I'm like, well, that's it's a jury of 100 media outlets that have kind of chosen that game to be there. If amongst that category, deserves it, does it not? If the people have chosen it to be there.
Yeah, I think that's what it comes down to. Looking, I saw a lot of people, just to touch on a point you made about the whole PlayStation thing, and a lot of people were attributing the fact it was on PlayStation Plus as maybe being a contributing factor. But as you just said there, I mean, I think about, is it 90% of the vote is media and 10% public?
Yeah.
So the vast majority of the voting, the people voting on these titles, they wouldn't have played the game on PlayStation Plus. They probably got a code, or they probably got it as part of their role as working as part of the media or as a reviewer for one of the sites. So I don't think that would have played much of a role in its nomination. Maybe for the public vote, I could see that having some influence. If more people play your game, then you're likely to get more votes, I guess, especially if you create a good game. But yeah, I think people forget that the people who are making these nominations, they're not necessarily playing a Game Pass game or a PlayStation Plus game. A lot of these people are playing these games as part of their job because they get them from PlayStation or whichever publisher.
Yeah, and I think it's a good point. And ancillary to that, I think what people also have to remember is that, Stray was really heavily marketed, and it has, clearly it was very well pushed in terms of review codes. Something like Immortality didn't get tons of reviews. For example, if you go on Metacritic, it doesn't have loads of reviews. Other games didn't. Vampire Survivors is just a phenomenon, right? I mean, it was in early access well before this anyway. It's not as if it would have immediately stood out to people, this year as a potential Game of the Year candidate, especially with media outlets who are covering the things they are sent, not the things that they just happen to pick up. So, just weird discourse around it. I hope it doesn't happen again, because I just think it's kind of sad, really. And there's no need for developers to be kind of insulted about their game when a lot of the people that are complaining about the game didn't play it.
Exactly, that's the worst.
They didn't even touch it. Yeah. So
what I think I would like, and I don't know if you guys agree, is I would like the Game Awards getting away from this one indie nomination as part of the Game Awards.
For sure.
We just spoke about Hades and Hollow Knight. I see no reason why those games are of the quality I guess we're expecting of those games, why both of them shouldn't be in there. But the Game Awards does have this weird trend of just having one indie nomination alongside 4 AAA titles. And I think that's kind of contributes to the problem, because I don't know if there's like an unwritten rule or if there is a rule, but there's obviously a pattern where there's only ever one indie game as part of those nominations. And I would like to think that shouldn't be the case. And I hope there's not a rule that I mean, I don't think there will be, but I hope there's not something that says, right, one of these games has to be indie, and only one of those games. Because if Hades and if Hollow Knight are exceptional titles, then I would like to see both of them nominated next year. I don't want us this time next year talking about, why was Hades not nominated, or why wasn't Hollow Knight nominated, because they were both vying for one slot. So hopefully that's something we see change in coming years, and then we don't have that argument, because maybe Immortality and Stray are both nominated for Game of the Year in some years, and maybe they extend it to maybe 6 or 7 or 8 titles rather than limit it to 5 as well. So I think there are some things that maybe the Game Awards can do to help with that, and those are just some of them. So hopefully it would be nice to maybe see a little bit of a change there, I think, going into next year.
Definitely. I think they can definitely open it up to that, as just it should be which game is the best game, basically, regardless of the background. And hopefully that will be something they do, because especially if they've got 2 like giants, like giants from the indie scene that are going to have a lot of hype around them, with Hades and Silk Song. So that would be awesome to see both of those in there for sure. And obviously Biogon in there as well from Dapper Dog Digital in the chat there. But good stuff, guys. So let's move forward then, because we've gone quite over probably on that particular topic. But let's move into our best indie games of 2022. Let's do a little roundup of that. We've been talking about a few of the ones which we were probably going to bring into this as well. So let's dive into basically highlighting our favorite games from the year, essentially. So I know we've talked quite a bit about sort of Immortality and games like that already. I'm pretty sure that's going to feature right here, but how we should do this. Really, we could just fire it over to someone, and you can talk about maybe a couple of your games, and then we'll. Yeah, or we could do one game each and move like I'll come back around. What do you want to do like that? So we yeah, well, let's just fire it over to Luke and let me know, my friend, what are some of your a few of your maybe your picks of the year, and we can come back around for some more. Save maybe a few for a little bit's time, and start off whetting your appetite with a few for us if you could.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, so I mean, I think really good year for indies generally. And then for me, like we've already touched on it, but the one that sticks out in my memory is Immortality.
Yep.
That's the one that I think is really, really, really incredible out of all the ones that I've played this year.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's multiple reasons for that, but I really love Sam Barlow's games anyway. I think he has a very unique way of making his games, and his games are very mechanically unique as well. And I think, for me personally, one of the big things that I really enjoy about games, or that I think, really draws me into games, is story. And his games are all about story. And he always seems to nail it. Like, none of whether it's Her Story or Telling Lies or Immortality, like you would think maybe one is not pretty successful, in terms of story, but they've all been excellent. And Immortality is by far the best story that he's written.
Right.
It's also unbelievably well acted.
Yeah, definitely.
The fact that they effectively put together 3, feature length films for this and backstage, quote unquote backstage stuff. Unbelievable. Manon Gage, who is the star of this, it's her first proper acting role.
Is it? Oh my god!
Yeah, mind-boggling.
I didn't know that. That is bonkers.
That is bonkers.
It's literally her first proper acting role.
She's amazing in it.
So she's absolutely incredible in it. There are other great performances as well, which we won't spoil. But there's one in particular that's sensational. And it does this great thing. His games have this great thing where they have some weirdness about them. Like his game, you can tell that he works like on things like Silent Hill, because his games they have this unsettling atmosphere, and often you don't know why that is, and then suddenly something will happen, like you were describing earlier, Indy.
Yeah.
Where it kind of freaks you out, and you kind of like, oh, that's weird. I don't, it doesn't feel right,
Yeah. Definitely unsettling. Like jumping into it last night for the first time, obviously, I've got it fresh in the mind, and it's definitely some unsettling elements. Without spoiling anything in this game, there's something that that happens quite regularly so far in what I've experienced in the game, which is brilliantly executed, and it's just puts your like the hairs on the back of your neck up. It's what it did to me anyway. But yeah, the execution is brilliant. Yeah,
it's really fantastic. And her story was the same. Like, you just kind of had this very foreboding, unsettling atmosphere throughout the game. And I think that kind of draws you in, because there's kind of that, it feels unsettling, but you kind of want to know more. There's that kind of desire to figure out what's happening in these games. And as I said, I think in the DMs earlier, like he does this great thing where he makes you feel very smart when you play his games, like you're figuring this stuff out by yourself. And actually it's all kind of sleight of hand manipulation. All of this stuff is laid out for you, but it's just the way that you discover stuff. Definitely. And what I really love about any of his games, but particularly Immortality, is I love games that have like non-linear storytelling like this does, because everybody's experience in terms of how they experience the story is very different, because the way that they approach figuring that out is very different. So everybody has a different experience of this game. Now, I think for some people, maybe that could be frustrating. Like for some people, maybe they're just not kind of attuned to going through one of his games, for example. And it might take some people longer than others, and some people might be quicker than others. Yeah, like might be some people who don't really understand the concept and maybe just try to beeline it, and then they don't discover all of the true essence of the game, which
again, without spoiling it.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
one of the tips I give a few people after playing the game, because I think it was quite evident when I was looking at some of the discourse around the game, is I think a lot of people came to the mechanic for
Yep.
to put it. There were a number of hours in and they hadn't discovered that yet.
Right.
I assume you're playing it on PC. I can't remember where you played it, Luke. But one of the things
I'm
that I
on
said to
PC.
people is just pay attention to your controller. On
Yeah.
Xbox, the
Yeah.
controllers. So I'll leave it at that. But I think for a lot of people, I remember in particular, there was a Reset Era thread on it. A lot of people just weren't getting that. So a lot of people were just flying through these scenes
Right.
and not coming across that particular mechanic. And I think I was actually a little bit late to that mechanic as well. Myself.
Yeah. I'm actually playing it on the mouse. I started on the controller and I thought, why am I using the controller? Because it didn't feel like it was naturally for the controller. It felt more like mouse was better. And but yeah, like you say, is there a vibration on the controller or something that you were talking about?
Yeah, basically. So I think that really helps.
Yeah, because I'm finding it fine on the mouse. If you're not using a controller, exactly. Sound is the key to listen for if you're not.
There is something. I didn't realize there was something on PC.
Yeah.
I don't think that exists on console because of the vibration. I don't think so. I don't remember. It's been a little while now.
Interesting. Yeah, the sound is actually really disturbing as well. The sound is,
the
and when
sound
when you slow it down, it's chilling.
I know what you mean by the sound when you. I don't want to touch on it too much, because if anyone has played it, then you kind of need to. It's been out a while, so I guess we shouldn't be too conscious of spoilers. But I think I know what sound you're referring to, but I don't think there's like that audio cue on console that I can remember at the
There's
very
like
least.
there's a deep sound kind of thing. Yeah,
but
low
I think you
frequency.
only hear that on console when you start doing what you're meant to be doing, if that makes sense.
I see what you mean. Yeah, so once you get to that bit, yeah. So basically, if you are playing it, guys, and you haven't found that, then just take care to look over the clips and that you've got the ability to scrub through the clips slowly and stuff like that. So if you haven't noticed anything, try doing that. I don't want to spoil anything as always, especially in this game, because everything is about that discovery of moments, isn't it? So and when I discovered that moment, it was just literally, I don't know, I've never really had like many experiences like that in a game. It was quite unique.
That first time was genuinely made the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. It really had that sort of impact. That first time when it switched.
Yeah, freaky, man.
It does it really well, because then I think what's so clever about it is you play the game a certain way up until a certain point, and that it completely changes your approach of how you proceed for the rest of the game.
Exactly.
And how you kind of analyze and interpret everything that you're seeing.
Yeah.
And I think as well, like it does kind of make you like hairs on the back of your neck stand up and do all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I think one of the other reasons it does that is because there's something inherently creepy about found footage, effectively, which is what this is, almost. There's a Netflix show, which unfortunately was cancelled, but called Archive 81, which is literally about kind of scrubbing through and restoring tapes, and it gives you the same, like, there's just something weird that it doesn't feel right doing it,
Yeah.
like it feels strange, and the way that when you scrub through tapes like you do here, as you say, Indy, like the noises that makes when you fast forward or rewind or whatever you do.
Exactly.
It sounds weird, and it's very unsettling.
It's almost like you feel like the devil's in your PC. Or something. Do you know what I mean? It's like something's happened and it's gone wrong. Is my PC broken? Do you know what I mean? Something's happened, guys. It feels like it's only happening to you. All
that stuff. That kind of. Yeah, go watch Archive 81. It's been cancelled, so you won't get a second season. But if you like being unsettled by that sort of stuff, go and watch it.
Awesome. So, sounds good.
But I can't really say anything more high praise than that. I think it's the best game Sambolo's studio has ever made. It would have been a deserved winner of many games at the Game Awards. I think it will do very well at the BAFTAs.
Yes.
It is
Definite.
that type of game, and it deserves a lot of credit. And I think
100%.
try it.
I think that was one of, like, the only one that I really considered a snub at the show. If I was
Right.
going to say there was a snub, and I know this is kind of the be all end all for these, but I kind of wish it got something, whether it be best performer, and not take anything away from Christopher Judge, or best narrative, something like that. I kind of just feel like it deserved to pick up at least something there. I mean, obviously it's great that it was at least nominated in those categories, but I kind of feel like it deserved at least one of them. And speaking about his other games, look, actually, when you played Telling Lies in earlier this year as well, so I played both of those games this year, fairly close together, and in my opinion, Immortality is just, it's significantly better than Telling Lies. I don't think it's even close. I enjoyed what I played Telling Lies, but Immortality was significantly better.
Right.
And one of the other things, and just to touch on Luke's point about how people's experience of the story is different. Me and Luke had a conversation afterwards. I say a conversation, it was more Luke kind of taking me through his thoughts of the game, because I was really curious as to his understanding of what the story ended up being. And that's actually one of the things I really enjoyed about the game as much as anything, is just having that conversation with Luke afterwards, and learning how our experiences were different. And there were things that I missed out that Luke had picked up on that I learned through him, that give me kind of more like holy shit moments. And weirdly, I enjoyed finding out in that way. I didn't mind that I didn't experience that in the game myself, because I kind of, I don't know, for most games I kind of wouldn't like that, but for this game, I don't know, that added to the experience for me weirdly. Just having that conversation with someone and being able to learn through conversations about our different experiences, I thought was like a really good part of it for me personally.
I totally agree. Yeah, it's one of those games where you're going to talk about it after it. It's incredible. It opens up your different interpretations. I mean, I haven't finished it yet, so I'm probably a good way through, I imagine.
Yeah, it'll be good to hear your thoughts afterwards, Indy. But like, there's not one game I've talked to anybody about this year where like I've just been sitting there desperate to speak to somebody about the game. Not one game, except for Immortality. All the other games I played it, that's fine. I got my experience. I don't need to speak to anyone. But Immortality, I had to talk to Luke about it like immediately after I finished.
I'm looking forward to finishing it. Yeah,
I'll copy and paste my explanation for you.
Yeah, see, there was a lot of DMs.
Sounds good. Yeah,
it's great. It's great to have that communal conversation about this, because it's so interpretive anyway.
Yeah, I mean, like when I just sat down and it was just like I was engrossed for the 4 hours that I played it last night, basically. So, like. The first 15 minutes, you're sort of wondering what's going on a bit, you know what I mean? But then you're like, it sort of clicks into place, you know what I mean?
Yeah, what I will say as well, this is slightly off tangent, but it's somewhat related, is I really can't wait. So, Scott, that feeling you had when you finished Immortality was the exact same feeling I had when I finished Returnal. And I had nobody to fucking talk to about it, because the people who bought it hadn't finished it. And then I finished it like pretty quickly, I guess, because a lot of people got stuck. So I'm really looking forward to when Returnal comes out, and hopefully more people finish the game so I can talk to them about the story, because that is also very, very interesting. I actually think it's probably one of the best stories of the last few years. But
interesting. Yeah. I didn't realize it was that narrative heavy.
Nice.
Yes.
So,
There's some really good stuff there.
So provided it doesn't melt my laptop, Luke, hopefully next year I'll be able to have that conversation with you.
Yep.
Sounds good. I can't wait to play the Returnal as well. But yeah, I can't wait to finish this game. I'm just really engrossed and very much impressed by this. It's definitely gone into one of my favorites of the year. And yeah, if anyone hasn't played like Immortality, guys, definitely do so. You won't regret it. It's an amazing experience. Do it, guys. Do it. Immerse yourself into this crazy world. It's hard to talk about without sort of going into stuff, isn't it? Because you really want to talk about the real gem part of it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, you don't want to, that in that first moment that takes you, like sort of surprises you. I would hate to take that moment away from anyone, because of how, like I say, genuinely made the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. So
definitely,
hopefully people check it out.
Yeah, so I think that's one that we're all in agreement. It's definitely one of the best of 2022. Great shout. Scott, my friend, do you have any you would like to talk about as your best of 2022, my friend?
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to spend too much time on it because we have touched on it a little bit already tonight, but I've got to give a shout out to Vampire Survivors. It has sort of taken the world by storm. It's become such a huge hit. You look at it and you think, what the hell is this? And then you play it and it's like, I don't know, it's like cocaine or something. You just can't get enough of it. So yeah, if you haven't played this game and you look at it and you think, what is this? Just give it a shot, because the amount of depth to the game and just the amount of surprise that you find when playing it, when certain things happen, when you discover certain things for the first time, whether it be weapon evolutions or I'll not go into too much detail about sort of what happens at the end of runs and things like that. It's unbelievably good, and it's crazy to think that this game's come out and it's like £3 on Steam. It's on Xbox and PC Game Pass. They've just released DLC for £1.50. You know, like I spent I tweeted about it earlier, like I spent more on a croissant than that on the DLC came out. And yeah, it's turned like this phenomenon. But deservedly so. It's genuinely excellent. It's the game I've played the most over the past sort of month or so. And I remember when Luke first mentioned it on our podcast, I was like, what on earth what on earth are you going on about? And then I looked at it and I played it and I've been hooked ever since. It's an excellent game.
Love it. Yeah, it's interesting to see the way it's blown up, isn't it, recently? But yeah, it's good to see as well, because it's, you know, well deserving, isn't it? So great shout, my friend. Good to see many people enjoying this little beauty. I know Jazzy Baby is enjoying it as well, and yourself, of course, Luke. It's a great shout. Was there any others you wanted to mention while we're on you, Scott? And then we'll go back to Luke. Any other games that you've loved this year in the indie scene?
Yeah, I guess I'll use this as time to shout out As Dusk Falls indie.
Cool.
You know, we had the pleasure of having like a review video type thing that we did, and we obviously had Mav and Sagonauts, I think, joined us for that. That was one of my surprises of the year. I didn't expect to enjoy that anywhere near as much as I did. I really enjoyed the story. Surprisingly, it took the win at the Game Awards in the category it was nominated in for. Was it Games for Impact?
That's it.
Which I think actually surprised some people, but maybe that was just because it was maybe the one that people saw the most. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, was it Games for Impact? Or is that the accessibility one, or is there a separate?
It might be the accessibility one. I think Games for Impact.
Impact might be
different.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I can't quite remember. One of them too.
Yeah, but similar. Actually, it's the kind of the closest thing that's came to Immortality this year, because the experience that I had was obviously vastly different to yours, and that was different to Mavs, and that was different to Psychonauts. And again, actually, I know I'm going to contradict myself a little bit here, because As Dusk Falls was much earlier in the year, but it was another game that I did really enjoy having that discussion after playing the game. So the game didn't end when I finished playing it, because I was continuing playing it in a weird way through conversations that I had with other people. I wasn't sold on the art style initially, but I think in motion and playing it, I think it worked really, really well. I thought you really got invested in the characters. There's obviously a very open, I guess, ending that could be interpreted in a number of different ways. I know there are a number of theories about, you know, how it ended. I really enjoyed that as well. So I thought this was an excellent narrative game.
Nice. Yeah, no, that's well said, buddy. I definitely really enjoyed it as well. And like you say, it's kind of in that same bracket as Immortality, although it's different, obviously. But it's that narrative thing which lasts after the game, where you want to talk about it, which is a really cool thing. Definitely a great shout there. One of my picks as well for the best of the year. So Luke, bro, let's go back to yourself and see if you've got any others you would like to spotlight as your best of 2022, bro.
Yeah, I've got a few. Obviously, Vampire Survivors was one as well. Just want to touch on that, because that is just a fantastic game. And that will, I feel like that will be a game that will kind of go on for a very long time in terms of content and people playing it. So that's really cool. But in terms of others, obviously one of the bigger, I guess, indie releases, and it was a really good one, was Cult of the Lamb.
Very nice, very nice.
I still haven't finished, sadly, although I played quite a bit of it. It's on the backlog. It's on the Christmas backlog.
Oh, is it nice? How far are you? How many bosses have you beaten?
I can't even remember. It's been so long, I can't remember. But I got a good number of hours in.
Yeah, so, sure.
Definitely a few.
Cool. Nice.
But yeah. So I mean, this was just really, really good. I think this is one of those where it always looked great anyway because it has such a fantastic art style, and it's kind of this genre mashup as well, sort of a bit roguelike-ish and a bit dungeon crawler-ish with weird Animal Crossing elements that are codified.
Yeah.
But I think the formula of that is very addictive. And I think I said back at the time, it almost reminded me, not in terms of gameplay, in terms of combat, but it reminded me of the structure of something like XCOM, which personally I find really engrossing. Where you go out, you do combat, you do things, and then you come back, you have a base, you base build, and you repeat that cycle. And combine that with the art style, which was amazing. It just leaps off the screen, and it's got a lot of personality.
Definitely,
it's excellent.
Game. It is. I was wondering, one of those, I'd expect us to see the DLC or something. I wonder if there'll be any sort of meaty DLC.
I would think so. It did very well. So, I think surely they'll have something, right?
Yeah, you'd think so. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, it's an awesome game. Actually, funnily enough, I'm still right at the very end as well. I've got like just the very final boss to beat. But I had a few issues with the performance all of a sudden being really jolty, and I actually messaged the developer about it, and they asked me, and they said to delete the save file from within the files, if you know what I mean, on the PC, and then try it again or something like that. Not the save file, sorry, delete the oh my god, what am I saying? Delete the setup file for all the settings, the settings file. You know what I'm saying? Not the save file. That's the thing not to do, basically. Otherwise, you're screwed. Yeah, so delete the settings file and then try it again because it like resets it. But I haven't tried it yet. But I don't know. It's just all of a sudden like it's like pauses for like a second almost and then carries on. It's just a really strange thing.
I think that's actually not to bring it down too much indie, but I think there have been a couple of games, Somerville being another one, where I think Cult of the Lamb was one as well, where performance issues did impact my experience a little bit. So I didn't have like performance issues per se with Cult of the Lamb. I just had like parts of it where I was just stuck, and I had to just I was losing runs because like an enemy got caught outside of the level and I couldn't kill it. You know, little things like that. So the frame rate wasn't necessarily an issue, and there wasn't things like screen tearing and things like that. I did actually end up completing the game though. In the end, I really enjoyed it. I did get a little frustrated with the Animal Crossing element parts of the game, but I should probably say, look, I'm not an Animal Crossing guy, so that I was never really gonna, gel with that part of the game as much as the rest of it, but I really enjoyed it. Actually, it's definitely there's one of the best indies of the year, so that can go on your guys' list.
Nice,
rather than mine. So
no, it is a really awesome game. It's just a shame when I went back to it just to finish off that boss. I thought, I'll just tell you what, I'll finish it off, but then it went a bit funky on me, so I don't know what it was. I asked them whether it could have been because I tried it on Steam Deck and then came back to the PC, if you know what I mean, whether that could have affected it or not. Do you think that could have affected it, you guys? Because they weren't really sure. Probably.
It shouldn't. I can't imagine like settings. I know saves can be like transferred between.
Yeah, that's all seamless.
Steam's different devices, but I don't think the game settings would. It would be strange if it did.
Conflicted.
But the game had performance issues on console and stuff as well. So I think it might have just been,
Yeah, it could have been. I mean, the funny thing is that I didn't have any issues really with it, like up until that point. So, but anyway, still an awesome game, and those issues. I did actually have an update go out yesterday on it, so I'm going to try it again after that update, and you never know, that might have sorted it out. But yeah, awesome game for sure, and great pick there, Luke. Any others you want to mention while we're on you, my friend?
It's few. I want to shout out one that I didn't list earlier, actually, but
Okay.
Sifu.
Oh yeah, cool, nice.
Which was a really, 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 really cool game. Still haven't finished it. I'm on the last boss.
Nice.
He's just a little fucker, to be honest. And the problem is, and I made this. This was my fatal error with this game, is that I should not have left it at the last boss,
100%.
because the last boss tests your ability and your memory of the entire mechanics of the game.
Yeah.
So going back to, I'm literally going to have to probably redo a level to get back into the muscle memory of it all, and then tackle him.
Yeah, it's not one of those games where you level up like your character so you become stronger. As long as you sort of learn the ways, kind of thing.
Learn the way, yeah. And it's not, it's a bit like a fighting game in its approach in terms of the combos.
Yeah.
To do moves.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's kind of getting back into that headspace. So
yeah,
I will go back. I will finish it. But it's gonna be a tough one, I think.
Yeah.
But it's a really cool game.
Definitely.
It's incredibly good fun. It's extremely challenging, very dedicated to its design. So I think it's more punishing than most games.
Yep.
Which won't be for everyone, which is fine. I think they have, since it launched, added a bunch of new kind of accessibility things in there and different kind of things to help you through the game, which is great.
Yep.
It will still be very challenging even with those. But I would recommend people play it. I don't think it's launched on Xbox yet. Could be wrong. I think it hasn't. Still not there. So hopefully it comes to that soon. As well, so more people could play it. But it's really good and unbelievable style as well. Great art, looks great visually, and animations are fantastic. Great music, so it's a really good game.
100%. No, definitely. Well said, buddy. Fantastic. Yeah, it's one of mine as well, for sure. It's one I need to get back to. I haven't got quite as far into the game as you, but I've done the same as you though, so I've got diverted. I'll have to start again pretty much. But yeah, no, it's a real good fun game. I love fighting games in general, and yeah, this one definitely tests you, and it's all like that timing and combos and everything. But yeah, awesome game. Definitely check it out, guys. It's definitely one that should be on the top list of the year for sure. So yeah, Scott Bro, any others that you want to add in here for the top 2022 indie games?
Yeah, I'll maybe bring up one more indie, and my apologies, Indy. I've just dropped you a little message on Discord. I do have to head off if that's okay, mate. Very, very sorry. The missus is on a Christmas party tonight.
Oh no!
I would pick her up between 10:30 and 11. So,
no problem at all, buddy.
Just to finish off for one game that I'm not too sure if you guys ended up playing, which is Tunic, which was a game I was looking forward to for quite some time. Obviously, it featured quite heavily in a lot of Xbox's marketing, so it came up quite a bit, and it finally came out this year. Really, really enjoyed it as well. I think for some people, it didn't quite hit as well as maybe they were hoping. It just had a really fantastic mechanic that incorporated the map into the story. It's the final boss and how that incorporates the sort of the map. I kind of don't want to spoil it too much for anyone that wants to play, but it plays a pivotal role. And I just thought it was an excellent game. Really enjoyed the combat and the just sort of exploring the world. And playing as this cute little fox with a cool little sword. Really, really enjoyed the game. It really lived up to the expectations from my perspective.
Awesome.
I know for some people that it maybe didn't quite hit those lofty expectations, but for me, I really liked it.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear that, because I did really enjoy it for a good chunk of time, but then I don't know, I just didn't feel compelled to continue, if you see what I mean. But yeah, I don't know, something about it. Not too sure really what it was, but yeah, anyway, I'm going to you need to go right now, was it, matey? Or
Yeah, if that's okay, Andy. Very, very sorry.
No, that's all right. No worries
Apologies.
at all. Sorry, we've gone over a bit of time as well here.
No, that's fine. It's probably my fault for dragging on about Game Awards for so long. So
good. No worries.
no, yeah, I appreciate you having me on again, mate. It's a fabulous way to end the year, and I know you guys have probably got some really, really cool games that you just want to keep talking about. So I will tune back in when I get back. But I hope you both have a wonderful rest of the show.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for joining us for tonight, buddy. You're definitely one of my favorite people in this community and a great friend, so really appreciate you being on for this one, and to celebrate the year, couldn't have chosen anyone better basically to join us. But yeah, thank you again, and if you want to find Scott, you can follow him on Twitter. The links are in the description below, or check out the Green Pass Gaming channel as well, where they do a podcast. Is it every Sunday? Is that you're sticking to? Sorry.
Yes, typically every Sunday, sort of 7:30 in the evening. We've had our last show of the year, so we'll be back early next year, and we'll probably be talking about some of our favorite games of 2022 as well. Obviously incorporating some of the AAA games as well.
Very nice. Yeah, that's all good.
Yeah, so obviously you can find me and Pox over there as well if you're interested. But
awesome.
Yeah. Again, thank you for the invite, Indy. Always a pleasure chatting to yourself, and obviously always a pleasure chatting to Luke as well.
Awesome, buddy. Well, thank you very much. Cheers. We'll catch you out soon. I'm just going to check actually if Luke's all right just to carry on for a few more minutes to do a few more. Is that okay with you, Luke? Yeah, awesome, buddy. Thank you very much. Well, thanks again, Scott Burrow, and have a great weekend and enjoy.
Wonderful.
Take care, buddy. Everyone. See you later. Bye. Coolio. So let's go. Cool. We'll probably wind it up fairly soon, guys. We're going to do a few more with the dynamic duo of myself and Luke, and wind up some indie games of 2022, because there's quite a few we'd love to shout out. And I'm glad to see lots of people shouting out. There's in the chat there. We've got Meisuko saying Stray, Somerville, Tiny Rogues, As Dusk Falls, and Trek to Yomi. And we've got a friendly pest. Shout out to you, my friend. Thanks for being here. Into the Radius, Legendary Tales, and Walkabout Mini Golf. Nice, my friend. Thank you very much for being here. And anyone else, definitely drop your games into the chat. We'll read those out as well. And let's see. I know one game actually that Luke has been enjoying this year. I'm gonna sort of set one up for him. I know you've enjoyed this game, so I thought you might want to talk about Roller Drome, buddy.
Yeah, this was a really, really really good game actually. I've not again, not one that I finished. It's on the Christmas backlog. It's not a particularly long game, so that will help. But it's a bit like Sifu, this, in that it's incredibly stylish, and it's a kind of a Jet Set Radio meets John Wick. Basically, is the best way to probably describe it.
Yeah, nice.
It's kind of mission structured, where you are rollerblading through this world, and you have weapons, and there's slow-mo shooting mechanics, and you're clearing stages in the same way you clear stages, I guess, in a skateboarding game, except the way that you do it here is getting chaining both tricks and kills together.
Love it.
So it's kind of like a sadistic Tony Hawk. But it's so stylish. It's cel shaded. It's 60 FPS. It's really fun to play. Not too complicated in terms of control scheme, but with a lot of depth. So it's one of those that easy to pick up, hard to master.
Yeah,
again, a bit like Sifu.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's got a cool story as well. Like
nice.
it's the story's more engaging than I thought it was going to be. From an outward perspective. So
that's
definitely want to pick up.
Fantastic. No, that's a great shout. Yeah, I definitely look picking that up at some point for sure. We have got a Steam sale around the corner, by the way, guys. So if you are looking at picking up any games, the 22nd of this month is going to be the Steam sale. So look out for that if you are. I'm certainly ready for that, holding back till that time. But yeah, I think I should probably shout out one of mine while we are doing this. So obviously we've talked about how I've loved Immortality. I'm going to shout out one which Actually, we should have done that one earlier. That would have been for Scott, but never mind. That's all good. Let's do... what can I do for myself? I'm going to shout out... Actually, this one, because I know that Meisuko mentioned this in the chat, so I'm just going to talk about this for a little bit. It was a long time ago this game came out, actually, but I did thoroughly enjoy it. I did the review on the channel of it. Trek to Yomi. I know, like I say, Meisuko mentioned it as one of his favourites of the year. Mechanically, on the gameplay side of things, probably not his strongest point, but definitely very much enjoyable. But the aesthetic and everything reminds me, in a sense, of like Somerville. The way it's got those cinematic camera movements, and the composition and everything is all done from a very cinematic sort of standpoint, which, like I say, it reminds me of the way Somerville is done. I think they're quite similar games in some respects. Obviously, there's more combat in this game, but yeah, I really enjoyed Trek to Yomi. Very cool experience. Love how true and like thorough to the vision they went really hard on a particular vision and carried that through. And yeah, I thought it was a really cool experience. Like, you don't get many black and white games for a start, but yeah, it's just really cool game. If you haven't checked it out already, I think, is it still on Game Pass? Not too sure actually, but yeah, it was on Game Pass, wasn't it, at some point? Yeah, so if it's still there, check it out. Otherwise, obviously, pick it up if you fancy it. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's quite a short and concise experience, but the style in the game is absolutely, striking and beautiful. And yeah, really cool game that has come out this year, which, like, it's always funny when the ones that come out earlier in the year, sometimes you just kind of forget them. And yeah, like Meisuko says again, he says the voice actor's really good, definitely, and it's all done in Japanese, with subtitles, so they kept really true to the authentic samurai kind of vision, which I really loved. But yeah, Trek to Yomi is one of my picks there. Let's go back and forth a few times and pick a few more, and then we'll probably wind it up. So Luke, my friend, have you got anything else you want to talk about for best games of the year?
Yeah, I'll do one more, because this I really enjoyed as well.
Cool.
Which was Neon White.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
Yeah, so this is like probably one of the more unique games that launched this year, I think, at least in the indie space.
Definitely, yeah.
And I think people have seen this, but it's, again, kind of a hybrid between different things, but effectively it is a, oh God, this is actually quite hard to describe, but it's a first-person shooter, which uses some deck building and platforming. And then it's kind of a Persona-esque side game. But
is it roguelike as well? Or?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, it's got some of that in it as well. So cool. It's kind of like it's kind of anime inspired in terms of art style. And story. But it's again one of these games that is really, really tight in terms of its controls.
Looks it.
So people will have a lot of fun, and there's already been some really amazing like videos of really high skilled players playing this, and pulling off some pretty bonkers stuff in the game, and it's just a really cool different game that has tons of style. It's got a very sort of unique design, and again I would recommend it. If you can play it on a mouse and keyboard, I would probably recommend that.
Okay, nice.
It really lends itself well. Not that it doesn't with controller, but going back and forth between playing it on Steam Deck and then playing it on keyboard and mouse, you kind of lose a lot of that fine control.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I can just by looking at it, you can tell that you need that kind of precision on it.
But it's great, no matter what you're playing it on. It's a really great game. Would recommend.
Very, very nice pick that is. Yeah, the more I look at this, actually, the more I am really interested to check it out, actually, to be honest with you, because at first I wasn't all that much sold on, I don't know, maybe it's the anime and all the kind of craziness, if you know what I mean. It didn't sort of draw me in, but I know I'm getting into it every time I see it more. So yeah, probably will be one I'll check out eventually, maybe on sale, something like that. But so I'm going to bring up one that I have enjoyed a good chunk of, but haven't finished yet. We're not saying that quite a lot, haven't we, today? But there's been so many games. So this one for me is Ghost Song. So a really cool Metroidvania that I definitely want to get back to. I had to get sidetracked because I had to do a review. So I was halfway through playing this game, and then, like I said, I had to go and play something else for a review. So I want to get back to this because I was really, really enjoying the atmosphere, especially in this game. Excuse me. It's got like if you like the sort of the atmosphere of like Hollow Knight, I had to mention it, didn't I? But it's definitely got that sort of like more, desolate kind of darker kind of vibe to it in this game than some other, the Night Witch obviously is a completely different vibe. It's a much more like colourful vibe. This one's more like desaturated, but it also has some quite interesting colour pops in there, that's for sure. But it's definitely got that kind of nice sort of atmosphere where you kind of like feel like you're kind of alone, but there are other characters in this game as opposed to Hollow Knight, where it may be even more sort of lonesome. But although there is characters in Hollow Knight as well, I suppose, so I'm sort of diverging again. But yeah, no, this one is definitely a cool game to check out. If you like Hollow Knight, you'll enjoy the exploration of this game. It's a true sort of Metroidvania where you can explore the world, uncover abilities that can get you to different areas. And I just really enjoy the whole aesthetic of this one. Quite a cool combat vibe going on it, and also the dash ability and stuff like that are rather cool. When you've got like you can actually get a momentum going up with when you can run and sort of jump further and stuff like that, which is quite a nice element. But generally speaking, Ghost Song is a really cool Metroidvania, and I highly recommend giving it a look, guys, if you love Metroidvanias for sure. So yeah, anything else that you'd like to mention, Luke? Is there any others on the tip of your tongue or anything like that?
I think I'll just give a shout out as well to Stray, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
That was, a great game, really great game. There's no kind of bad element about anything that game does.
No, yeah.
Visually great, story's really cool, really touching as well.
Nice.
Unique in terms of, what you're playing as and how that works and how you interact with the world. They really nailed the feel of a cat, and the way that cats move and the things they do.
Environments are stunning, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely stunning. One of the best looking games this year.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would suggest people pick that up.
Yeah, it's probably one I'm going to be grabbing in the old sale, actually, on Steam sales. So be about time I check this bad boy out, as you always like to talk about it, and I'll see what it's all about. But yeah, no, I'm sure I'll enjoy. And just to enjoy the surroundings and this whole story sort of thing. I think it'll be a cool game. But yeah, great pick. It has to be said, Game of the Year on the Game Awards for the Indie Game of Year, that is, of course, as we said. But yeah, no, that's a great shout, my friend. And I'll do a quick one here, actually, just to mention. Obviously, I know I mentioned it a few times today anyway, but I wanted to show the Night Witch again. I did the review of that, and it definitely was an awesome experience. A really cool Metroidvania, less deep Metroidvania elements than some, so don't go in there thinking it's going to be deep exploration like some other styles of Metroidvanias. Go in there thinking it's going to have Metroidvania elements, and it's going to have awesome gameplay and beautiful visuals and some really cool power-ups with these deck builder elements that it incorporates into the game. So yeah, if you enjoy a bit of a challenge with the gameplay, it does also have accessibility in the sense that you can use these cheat codes and stuff like that, by the way. So if you feel it is a bit too hard, you can get into that. But just for the record, I didn't, because I'm hardcore, mate. Sorry, that was terrible. But yeah, no, I tried my best to not. So yeah, but you can do that if you did want to make it a bit more accessible for you. So definitely don't let that scare you off or anything. But yeah, the challenge of this game is one of the best parts about it, in my opinion. It is quite hectic a lot of the times, which I love about it. You can die in this game, but if you just take it on the chin that you're going to die along the way, and then you come back stronger, then you get that satisfaction, as I always say. But The Night Witch is a really cool game. It combines a lot of great elements. And yeah, if you want to find out what my full thoughts are, check out my review. Excuse the cheeky plug there. But yeah, The Night Witch, awesome game. Definitely one of my favorites of the year. Anything else you would like to add in there, Luke, my friend? Do you play Proteus this year? Did you, or was it that previous year?
I played it last year.
Last year, was it? Okay, cool. So, so that's
great game though.
Great game, exactly. That came out 1.0 this year, which is one of the games I need to get back to. Obviously, as well, we've talked about it a little bit today. But would you say Somerville falls into your top indies of the year? I mean, would that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, for sure. I think that's a game that's well worth playing.
Yeah.
We'll go and check out the review on this channel, by the way. But where we delve into the things that are great about it. There are issues in the game. They've actually patched out some of those issues now. The fact you can now pet your dog.
Absolutely. That's pretty cool, isn't it? I'm just gonna pretend they saw our review, and because we did go into a lot of detail about how much we wanted it. So we'll just pretend that they watched.
That was like half the review, I think.
Yeah, I think it was actually.
So people should play that because it's one of those games that, especially over the Christmas period, if you've got a couple of hours and you can't dedicate that to something bigger in scope and you want a kind of nice contained experience, the game isn't that long. It's 3 hours, 4 hours. It's something you could do in an evening, and it's a really great experience. It's a fantastic debut game from Jumpship.
Yes.
So would recommend people check it out. Especially now that it's had a couple of patches.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, definitely a great shout. I would definitely recommend it as well. Like you say, perfectly said in all regards, really. It's a really rich experience, short and concise, but, one of those games where it's just, I don't know, you sit there and you just really soak it all in and just, it leaves you feeling good. And, it's almost like watching a really juicy film or something like that. It's almost that kind of length, isn't it? About 3 hours, 3.5 hours or something like that. And it's just, I think it's really well done. Personally, I really like the actual story of the game and some of the sort of like elements they incorporate into it. The mechanics are really actually cool, really cool and really nicely done. But yeah, in general, just experience it. There's not much in the way of like combat or anything like that, but it's more of a let yourself get immersed into this interesting story and interesting world. It looks absolutely beautiful, and really highly recommended. So check it out. It's on Game Pass as well on PC and Xbox, so definitely dive in, guys. But yeah, Somerville highly recommended. So yeah, I think I might just say one more for myself. If you think of any, just let me know. I'm just going to do one quick one now, and that is one I mentioned quite a bit on this channel, but that is because I think it deserves some love because I don't see that many people checking it out. That's Midnight Fight Express. It's an awesome, brawler, just action-packed, sort of over-the-top fighting game. Loads of combos, loads of reversals, loads of awesome takedowns, pick up weapons, do amazing reverse turning kicks, jump, whatever it might be, everything in the whole wide world that you can imagine. Imagine you're Jackie Chan and you're in one of his movies. It's pretty much like that. So yeah, I love it for that reason, and it does it really well. It's some of the most exciting and fun combat that I've ever had in sort of like a fighting game of this type. So yeah, it's a really cool game. Fairly simplistic on the art style, but just does the job nicely. But yeah, it's a blast. Check out Midnight Fight Express if you enjoy like those old school sort of like beat 'em ups. For me, it's better than like Shredder's Revenge in that regard. I know it's not a side-scrolling beat 'em up, but I know that Shredder's Revenge has that nostalgia on its side. But I definitely would enjoy Midnight Fight Express over that. So some people will probably tear me apart for that, but there we go. Have you checked out Midnight Fight Express? I can't remember what you said about this one, mate.
Yeah, I haven't played the full game, but I played the demo.
Oh, okay, cool. So maybe a chance to jump in then.
yeah. I really enjoyed it when I played it.
Awesome.
It's really, really fun.
Yeah, it's a great game. It's sort of a really good soundtrack actually as well. Really sort of energizing, sort of electro kind of pumping soundtrack kind of thing. So yeah, it's a cool game. Nice. Yeah, so check it out, Luke Pro. Anything else you wanted to shout out before we wind this up, my friend?
No, I think we've covered it.
Yeah,
covered it pretty well. As I say, it was great. It's a great year.
Definitely.
For indie games. Next year looks to be even better. actually. So,
yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
It's gonna be potentially be a really, really, really good year next year for indie games. So yeah, look.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm really looking forward to everything that's in store. There's so much around the corner. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Last Case of Benedict Fox for one thing. Just it popped into my mind. It's early 2023. Hopefully it still be. Obviously looking forward to Biogun if that's going to be happening in 2023. But yeah, so many games. It's just crazy. We've got lots of Metroidvanias on the way. And yeah, we're going to be absolutely swamped. But how we have the time, we will try our best to get everything in there. But it's going to be fun trying to get it all done. But yeah, it's been absolutely awesome today, hanging out, chatting about some the best of 2022 even. just thought we'd cover 2020, but retrospectively. But yeah, no, thank you so much for joining me, Luke Pro. It's been a blast hanging with you as always, my friend. I'm sure we'll be doing some more content maybe fairly soon. We'll see what happens if we can fit stuff in, but yeah, lots of cool stuff which we can do around this time of year and early next year and stuff like that. We will be bringing back the Indie Game Awards on the channel as well, by the way, guys, so that's something we'll be planning. But yeah, Luke bro, thank you so much for being part of the podcast for this year, brother. In general, it's been amazing doing it with you, so I'm really looking forward to what we got in store for going forward. But yeah, thanks mate. Thanks.
No problem at all.
Yeah.
Loved it, thoroughly enjoyed it, and look forward to several hours of Silk Song content if it releases next year. I'll just dominate the podcast.
Absolutely,
for a good 6 months. I think,
probably the Silk Cast.
The Silk Cast.
Definitely.
So but no, absolute pleasure as always, and it's been great, and as I say, next year even more great games going to come out, so we'll definitely cover as much as we can.
Definitely, bro. Yeah, absolutely. We'll be hoping to get some more video stuff done as well, because we started doing that, and that was a lot of fun, I thought, and I think you enjoyed it as well, didn't you, Luke, doing the video review and stuff? So I think we're going to be looking to do some more of that. I know we've got a season coming out in January, which I'm looking forward to, so that'll be cool. But yeah, we're going to be planning lots of stuff, really exciting stuff. Like I say, upcoming games covered for 2023, and we've got Steam sale coming up, so we might do a video on that. I don't know yet. I might have to check in with Luke to see if he can do anything with that, but if not, I might sneak something in myself. But yeah, it was absolutely awesome hanging with you this year, my friend. Would you like to shout out where they can find you on the Twitterverse to see all your awesome photos that you constantly post?
You can find me on Twitter at LukeSteele90, where I just post random stuff. Really.
Good stuff.
Good stuff.
Good stuff.
Damn good stuff.
Good stuff in general.
Go follow me there.
Absolutely. If you like looking at the most epic PCs and things like that, or very nicely made coffees, you definitely know where to go.
That's basically all it is these days, just coffee and PC.
That's a good combo.
It's a great combo.
It's good. You can't argue with that. Definitely. Well, thank you, bro. And thank you so much to everyone in the chat who's joined us today. Great turnout today. So great to see so many great people in. Great. Sorry about that. May Suko was in, a legend. Thank you for being the mod this year, my friend. You are a great guy, and much appreciate your help and just all your support. So thanks for being here today, buddy. UK Dazra, same to you, my friend. Always a pleasure to see you in, and pleasure to be the pal that you are. So yeah, thanks for hanging out, brother. Dapper Dog Digital, thank you so much for hanging out today. It was great to see you in. I'm looking forward to seeing the next showing of Biogun when it's time. Very much excited for that. Meisuko's dropped a comment saying next year he's looking for Dordogne and a space for the Unbound season and Sea of Stars. Very nice picks there, my friend. Loving that. Yeah, so many great games coming. It's going to be amazing to round up some of that. So we had Friendly Pest popping by. Thank you very much for being here. We had Jamie Richardson in the house. Great seeing you, brother. Thank you very much for hanging out. Who else did we have in? We had Sentinel. Thank you so much for hanging out today, my friend. Great to see you coming by. And who else did we have in? We had, obviously, Scott on the show earlier. Thank you very much for being part of this, Scott. Check out Scott's stuff as well. Obviously, you'll find him on the Green Plus Gaming channel with Luke. The links are all in the description below. We had Stubbs Gaming in the house. We had Clowns in the house. We had Dreadpool in the house. And we had a bunch of other great folks coming by who I can't see right now, but thank you very much, all of you guys who hung out for this show. It's been an amazing year, rounding up some of this amazing year with indie games in general. It's been awesome rounding up some of this stuff today. And like I say, we'll be back real shortly with more content for you in 2023. Probably some videos before the end of the year, hopefully as well, maybe 1 or 2, that is. But the podcast will return in January of next year. So thank you again for everyone for watching. You are all legends. It means the world. And I will catch you again on the next one. Thanks again for watching, guys.